guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Okay, we are live now. Welcome back, everyone. It is November 13. We're back with Anonymous Bites back. We are live now. Welcome back, everyone. It is November myself. 13. Is that on my end? Or we're back with Anonymous Bites back.
I don't know. You hear an echo?
Welcome back, everyone.
No, I don't hear anything.
No, I think it's fixed. Now it's weird. I was like logged into that second YouTube and I saw it. Okay. Hey guys, if you're listening to this, and if you're from Twitter, share the episode using a quote tweet. It works. Probably you saw me sharing the episode, but I'm shadow banned on there. So if people don't follow me or some of our other people, they don't see our actual tweets, so you have to do a quote tweet and then put in some nice hashtags you think will work, and then we got some more viewers, right? Anyway, thanks for listening.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I didn't even get an update on this. I couldn't even see your tweet. I literally had to look for your account.
Yeah. No, it sucks. I know.
Yeah, welcome to being censored.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you got something to say, then you get censored, right? Unless you're paid by some state entity or whatever. I made a post about that today. So I asked people. I asked journalists that are paid by state entities, whether from the West or from anywhere else, to unfollow me, because I'm getting sick and tired of these people. And you have these people, and they repeat our narratives, they repeat our stuff, but they're literally they're not with us. You get funded by.
Did I tell you, John, the supposed John Titor actually hashtagged our ABB?
Oh really? That's funny.
Yeah, the time traveler dude.
Yeah, that's cool. He's cool. He trolled the entire internet. Everyone believes him.
Yeah. He tagged Anonymous Bites back. It was fucking hilarious.
Did we talk about him?
Does he have anything to say about the future of the show?
You know. Actually, he was. He actually had a few things to say about QAnon.
Let me guess. He did it first?
No. He was claiming that QAnon was a time traveler as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's why he knows everything.
Yeah.
I thought it was just Ron Watkins in his basement, but what do I know?
Yeah, speaking of which, the admins for QAnon are jumping ship. The what is it called? Project Odin, which was basically trying to get their domain on .loki, or it's using Tor backend, but that's not going to happen. They could have literally done it, like I said, in it literally can in an afternoon, just merging the site or moving it to there, or have it redirected to. I mean, however they wanted to do it. It really just shouldn't have taken 2 years.
Basically, what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, Tika Tawari called LokiNet.
Yeah.
Oh, you saw that?
No. I mean, literally, LokiNet has been online for a while. It's just I don't understand why it took them 2 years to get anything on there done. I've always had my suspicions that Code Monkey Z is literally a skid and doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, it's pretty obvious, when I started poking around at their site, Acon, that there was a lot of problems that seem to have originated from the VChan skeleton that they've been using. And I would say, other than looking at the server logs and seeing who was doing what on the back end, I can't see any real editing or modifying of whatever they did.
Yeah.
So,
but why would Watkins put him in charge of that? I mean, Watkins, he's an asshole, but he isn't dumb, right?
It's his son. That's why.
yeah.
That's literally why.
I think he's pretty smart, the guy. I mean, yeah. But I don't get it.
Well, Jim Watkins, he got caught running a whole bunch of different child pornography sites recently. So we kind of, he has a whole bunch of domains that he owns. It's just obviously fucking child pornography sites. But,
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that, we were talking that, Q was spotted on another site, I guess, speaking in Japanese. Well, just happened to know that Jim Watkins has posted several times in the past in fluent Japanese. It's no surprise to me at all.
yeah, it's moving now to Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Watkins.
Wonderful.
Watkins, he stole that 2chan site too from the Japanese guys.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They were so
Yep.
angry about it, but yeah, he stole it from these guys. What was it? I don't know what the reason was. The domain, I think he was controlling the domain or something, and then he took the entire thing. Lots of work was done on it. The original owner fought with him for a while, and the original owner registered a new domain name and was competing with him, and many people went with him, and it's a super dirty story there. Just search about it.
That's how Jim is. That's basically what he did to Hot Wheels. Same shit.
Yeah.
I just find it really funny. I did not know that Code Monkey Z was Jim Watkins' son. I had no fucking idea.
I told you several times. So
maybe, but I don't. I don't think so. I don't think that you. I think you think you did and overlooked that fact. But anyway, I just found that out, and I was just oh wow, it just all makes sense now.
Yeah. It's with everything that's going on with the election, I don't see it lasting too much longer. I think that whole gravy train is turning to the Titanic, and it's sinking pretty fast.
The gravy train.
Yeah. Whatever the hell it was, Crazy Train, or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah, Crazy Train is a better one.
Yeah.
But, I definitely agree. I mean, it's
Crazy Train.
At this point, everything's kind of falling apart. but I think that it's shifting over to Japan as we saw those posts.
Yeah, which I don't really understand the whole dynamics of the political culture in Japan. I just don't understand it well enough to say what the hell they're trying to do over there. But I just don't see that whole movement lasting too much longer. I mean, really, it's just lie after lie after lie after lie, and it's a complete fake the whole time. I don't get it. It seems like a lot of people who got into this though start displaying symptoms of like mental illness, and I've said this for a while. Anybody who delves into that whole shit just starts talking like they're crazy, like they're like schizophrenic. I guess there was like another. I read an article today about this other person, some lady who had like 1.73 million 1,740,000 followers. Jumped into that whole. Or she drank the Kool-Aid, and then she's live streaming on YouTube, saying, talking about the Satanist cabals and all of some weird shit, and screaming like insane,
Yeah, but the thing is, like, we know that I'm not saying every fucking elitist is a Satanist, but we do know that a lot of these elitists are into the occult. It's well known. And what Q did is it really hurt real information pertaining to pedophilia and the occult and past pedophile scandals within the government, because now it makes it all into a laughing joke. Oh, it came from Q, so it must be a laughing joke. Well, no, actually, it didn't come from Q. They just rehashed it and then threw in some bullshit.
Yeah, that was the first time I heard about any of that stuff was like, God, what year was it? 2015, 2014? Somewhere around there, and talking about it. And I was just like, it was almost so weird that it was like laughable, And I've always had it at arm's distance. But I remember they were talking about the whole Epstein Island back then, and I don't know. It just seemed a little too weird for me at the time,
Well, yeah, they mixed. That's what I'm saying. Like, they mixed real information in with fake information, so it's like a little bit of real information, and then they throw in like a corkscrew where it's just fake information, and it makes the real information look bad and become unbelievable or untrustworthy. And it's really sad because a lot of the stuff, I'm not saying all of it, but a lot of the stuff within Q where they're talking about like the pedophilia and like the way the elite system so-called works, right? A lot of that is accurate information, but then they throw in some bullshit about, oh, well, Q's going to, or not Q, well, Trump is going to arrest Hillary Clinton and everybody else and blah, 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 John Podesta and blah, 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 blah. Like, they brought up, like, legitimate pedophile scandals, like, for instance, like, the whole thing that happened in Franklin, Nebraska, the Franklin cover-up, right? With Larry King and the Black Larry King and a whole bunch of other politicians, and Paul Benassi going on and saying that he was forced to rape a little boy with a gun to his head. That's all legitimate information from back years ago that was actually investigated by Ted Gunderson and Senator John DeCamp at the time. It's stuff like that. Like, that they spin, right? Oh, well, this happened in the past, so it must be happening now. That's what they kind of do in a sense. But yeah, man, it's crazy because they actually take real information and spin it, and then all these people just kind of, oh well, Q's legit, Q's awake, like all this other shit,
Yeah,
So I
this is,
mean,
this is a typical strategy, right? This is what they always do. I mean, you see it with compromised people like Alex Jones, who delivered some fine information sometimes, and then but it gets mixed in with other things. And you have the Flat Earth Society, like they have legitimate things they mention about like the media being corrupted and NASA being founded by Nazi scientists and stuff, all legit. But then you mix it in with like, yeah, the Earth is flat, right? Like using like saying like, yeah, NASA is corrupt, so that means they must be lying about the Earth being a globe, so it's flat, right?
oh yeah, you got it exactly. Like, yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. That's exactly what they do. Is they use real information to kind of prop themselves up for spreading their disinformation. And it's sad because a lot of the information that was put out by Q is twisted information that is legitimate information, like stuff about John F. Kennedy being assassinated. John F. Kennedy was assassinated by a sophisticated group. It's well known now in 2020, after the release of the CIA files, that it was a sophisticated hit. It wasn't just Lee R. Harvey Oswald who killed Kennedy. Like, it was a sophisticated hit operation. So I mean, it's like stuff like that they just spin. And when talking about a deep state or shadow government, right? The fact that Q even tries to say that William Barr is a good person is hilarious, because he's literally the Reagan era and Bush Senior era cover-up guy. He covered up BCCI, BNL scandal, the MK Ultra stuff. Basically anything for the CIA, Promise software, in Iran-Contra, all of the stuff that was going on at that time period. William Barr was the CIA's lawyer who was covering up all that shit. And the fact that people are like praising Barr is just absolute insanity to me, knowing all the history that I know about William Barr and how he covered up things like one after the next. So, Alamo says he covered up the Ruby Ridge sniper too.
Yeah, Alamo, just to jump in, we need you.
I don't think he can talk though.
I heard him earlier, and then he just didn't say anything.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I forget the guy's name, but Randy Weaver's wife. She was pregnant, and that sniper. He I think he took that case pro bono too for the FBI.
You know why though? Because he was covering up. Fuck's his name? Can't remember off the top of my head. I gotta look it up now again. It's an FBI agent at the time. He was the one that was behind Ruby Ridge and behind Waco and all of that. I just can't remember his fucking name. He was assistant director. Give me a second.
Thanks, Al, for all the listeners already. Thank you for sharing it with Quote Tweets. You guys are really helping out. I said it at the start, like we're like shadow banned and stuff, so people who don't follow us don't actually see our tweets. So if you're on Twitter and you want to share this episode, use our retweet with a quote above it. Like just add like one hashtag or like one word and share it like that, and then you will make us show up in the hashtags, and then in that way we use some kind of guerrilla promotion, right? We'll go through the algorithms and we'll be visible, and you will really help us out. So if you care about legitimate information, please share it with a quote retweet.
Alright, so I found the guy's name, Larry Potts. Potts was the lead FBI agent at Idaho Ruby Ridge in 1992 when it led to the shooting of Ricky Weaver, the wife of separatist Randy Weaver, right? Potts had actually basically called for the agents to go in there and shoot anyone seen leaving the Weaver cabin at Ruby Ridge. And then the New York Times actually reported in 95 that there was documents that he helped destroy as a senior, or not senior, as a FBI assistant director at the time. So there's two incidences where Larry Potts was involved. It was Ruby Ridge and Waco. He was involved in both.
But now Barr, at the time he was younger, I mean, he was bouncing around a lot of prize firms, but I think he took that took that case for free, pro bono for the FBI. That's how he kind of wormed his way into the government. He was a good guy after that for them.
Well, I mean, technically, he wormed his way into the government with while he was going to school, he was working at the CIA because of his father's connections to the, what was it, OSI? Or not OSI, it's fuck, what is that agency called? I can't remember now. Before the CIA. It's not OSI. Come on, somebody has to know.
OSS?
OSS, yeah.
It was somewhere like around World War II, right, when it was founded.
Yeah, well, Barr's father was involved in the OSS, and he basically weaseled Barr Jr. weaseled his way into the government through his father's connections. And the very first thing that he did was he was working at the CIA while going to school at night. So I don't think that I think he did that first before the FBI case. I'm pretty sure. It makes more sense, but yeah. Point being, Barr is a crooked fuck, and he has a lot of connections in the government and has covered up for the CIA, the NSA, the FBI. You know, like, so the fact that this random internet personality called Q is saying trust the plan, trust William Barr, is just a joke that everybody should be kind of weary of.
Yeah, I hope in another year that'll be like a distant, foggy memory. Never want to hear that name again.
Yeah, but that's not how it works. Like, people want a distance from it, and they know stuff is fake, but they get pulled in again when they'll only have to push out like one legitimate thing, like, and everyone gets pulled in again.
Right.
Whoa, Q came up with this stuff. I don't know. It's like they're just pulling you back in again. Like, it's super easy. This is what the intelligence agencies do.
Yeah, and the scary thing about that is that, they were pushing all of the real deep state people and saying that they're enemies of the deep state when they're actually the fucking deep state. You know,
I just saw the most. Guys, I just saw the most insane thing just happen. Okay, right? And this is what I've before the show. You know, I've been watching the bots go out. You know, on a lot of these accounts. I literally saw Donald Trump just post literally a second ago, and it was RT'd. It had 13,000 likes in 2 seconds.
Yeah, he's getting his account botted by public bot creators, herders. It's probably Microchip, because he did it before. So why wouldn't he do it again? But I mean, there's likely other people that can fucking create a bot and basically just create a botnet
in seconds.
Yeah, 2 seconds, 13,000 likes. Now it's at 15.
Yeah, but AK is actually right. Microchip, he is a bot herder. He's a famous bot herder, and he used to control entire hashtags and would launch his bot army against anyone who said something that he didn't agree with. But he officially joined the Trump social media campaign. So yeah, they have a huge botnets as well. They're not the only ones though. I mean, I remember Obama doing it too during his campaign. He actually hired a Dutch company to do it. They're a commercial botnet company, and this was all. This is all in the open. I mean, this is mentioned by our mainstream news, right? Because they thought it was so interesting to talk about. So, the Obama campaign did it too, like a massive scale. They used massive botnets.
Yeah, they used. Well, I don't know if they still do, but they did. They probably still do. It's just more underground, right? But I mean, they use these bots to promote hashtags to get real engagement from real people, and it makes sense.
Yeah. No, they all do it. I mean, if one side does it, so the other side has to do it too. Otherwise, you won't have a chance. And with Trump, yeah, of course, you have botnets connected. Yeah. And the military has botnets too. I mean, he is the president of the USA still, and the military and the agencies in the U.S. government have these capabilities too. And yeah.
Did you guys notice this? I was following something, and I was really keeping it to myself. About a month before the election, there was Ethiopian occult bots, spamming any Republican account that they could with just the most bizarre shit. And then I thought they all got reported down, right? Only to find out the week of the election that they're now posting in Armenian.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably either from a nation state, right?
It might be.
Yeah, it has to be, because it's like there's nobody who would benefit from that besides a nation state, And if anything, it would either be Russia or China.
Well, they were posting occult pictures. What was it? Like the occult statements and all sorts of weird stuff with weird ass pictures. At first, I thought it was a publicity stunt because the accounts kind of disappeared, and then they appeared again. The same weird pictures, but now they're speaking Armenian.
So I saw an interview with this Google whistleblower called Tristan Harris. I'm not sure if you guys know him. He's a former Google employee, and he started whistleblowing about what happens inside Google and all these things. He gives a lot of inside information, and this is one of the things he was exposing to about nation states doing this, and he was especially pointing to the US, China, and Russia doing this. And in the case of Russia, he says they're injecting into 13 countries. They're literally using botnets to target 13 different countries. And what they do is, okay, so this is an example of what Russia does, right? And I'm not going to go into whole election manipulation. This is not about that. What they are doing is, you have, for example, the Texas independence movement, or you have the California independence movement, right? And they have some traction and they get some exposure. Now, what these nation states do is they will amplify those things, and that's being done by botnets. That's being done by their fake alternative media networks, and they will amplify those things, and so it will never look like it's coming from them. It will always look like it's coming from these movements. And that is how they do it. And the USA does it too, with their little jackals. and you amplify existing movements in countries. Like the U.S. did it in Ukraine, for example. There are some movements who are like against the Russians, for example, and you amplify those people from behind the scenes with your bots and your stuff, and it destabilizes countries. And China does it too against Hong Kong, for example.
Right.
This is Tristan Harris said he was from Google, right? And he's a Google whistleblower. He's super anti Google, anti-establishment, and he's exposed a lot of shit. But he said that Russia does it at this very moment in 13 different countries, and he wasn't too much worried about the USA because the USA has some capabilities to fight back against it. But smaller countries like in Africa and stuff, they're being like targeted really hard, and they can't defend against it.
Yeah, that sounds about accurate. I mean, and not just Russia, but China and the U.S. Also do it a lot. Iran is also recently getting into botnets.
Oh, you remember that whole hashtag? Remember that one was against Soleimani in Iran, right? Suddenly, yeah, there was some kind of they claimed it was like a grassroots movement against like their General Soleimani, and then suddenly that whole fake hashtag popped up, and we saw it was fake. All the traction came from like 6 NATO countries, and they were pushing that hashtag, and I was like, I posted about it on Twitter, right?
Yeah, and then
the whole army descended on me with all these.
Yeah, but then after that, you're like fully shadow banned.
Yeah.
Like monthly, you know.
The Americans took me out, I guess. I mean, yeah, whatever. But we made a point to get like 2,000 retweets on that one. Like the people saw it, and the next day the hashtag was gone. Like it disappeared, like into like thin air. Like nothing happened. So they were exposed, I guess. Yeah. So this is what happens. They don't do it themselves. Like when the Russians attack a country in the world, they don't attack it from like Russia. They amplify something that exists in the country, and the Americans do it too. You select a movement that exists in the country, you amplify that destabilizes your opponent, and you amplify. So, and this is why I also posted today on Twitter, right? I said like, all these state-sponsored journalists just get out of my fucking Twitter and stop following me, and because I don't want you around anymore. Like, you amplify us and you use it for your own fucking goals, and I don't want it. Like, nothing to do with them. Like, they're not going to be utilized by some state entity for that dirty work just to whitewash their own fucked up history, because they're all fucking bad. Like, yeah, we all know that the Americans are bad. Yeah, whatever. The Russians just as bad. Like, they killed 60 million people like a few decades ago. So, killed 58 journalists over the last 2 decades. So yeah, I'm not too happy about these people.
Yeah, I like how people think that for some reason we're like pro-Russian. Like it's an automatic like assumption that if you criticize the U.S., you must be pro-Russian.
No, we can be against all. Like, we don't have to be. We don't have to pick a side. I think we're some douchebags. The same as like, okay, well you're anti-Trump, you have to support like the DNC in the U.S. No, you can be against both. You can realize both are corrupt. You don't have to pick a side.
Yeah, you could be like me. You know, you could be cool.
Yeah. Oh, to be independent. Like, I vote for my own party. I'm alone. Fine.
Well, I can tell you as a Republican that if you are disloyal to the brand, you are just a piece of shit. That's just all there is to it. You're disloyal.
Yeah, of course.
You have to be a good bootlicker and get on your knees 100% of the time, and I mean 100%.
Yeah, like if you look at all these statements of these parties, I don't see anyone who represents what I believe in. So, yeah. I mean, like a traitor or whatever.
Yeah, you won't get any invites to any groups or special chat rooms or any of the little meetups. You know, you just they don't want to hear it. They don't even want to hear constructive criticism.
Listen, Preston, the history is written by these fucking corrupt people, and this history is not going to treat us well. I mean, we're not going to be in the history books as heroes. The heroes are the people who controlled by them, who controlled by the history book writers. And what we can do is we write our own stuff to support ourselves. We write our own cool stuff about ourselves, like we're so great, right? We just do it like that. We don't have to. We'll praise ourselves, whatever.
The great and not well. Let's just you have to be like Trump. Everything is great and historical and bigger and better than it's ever been before. If you can remember that loop, you're good.
Yeah.
Even if you're fucking up, even if it's a bankruptcy, it's great.
It's so wonderful.
So it's the Great Anonymous. It's the Great Mark. Netherlands is great. America is great. Everything's fine. I feel better.
Yeah.
Well, I just read this report. I don't know if anybody was following it. According to like the leading top scientists on climate change is saying we're at a point where we fucked the Earth up so bad that it'll never go back to normal.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's some fucked up shit.
I've heard that before already. But yeah, I mean, like climate change, yes. Global warming, no.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, term of speech, but we fucked up the world to the point where we're changing the climate.
Right. No, I know. I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, climate change is real. Global warming is Al Gore's scam.
Yeah, what happens is that what was hot will now be cold. Cold will be hot. You have more places in the world that didn't have this crazy weather. Everything starts coming in places where it wasn't before. We're in uncharted territory,
What that is okay. Even if climate change is real, how is paying taxes and having Al Gore in charge of it going to solve it?
Not going to solve anything.
What I was going to jump into is Mark said it before on here, but what they're doing is they're kind of they're taking over the agenda of climate change and turning it into a money-making opportunity. Like, Mark can speak on it more than I can, but
what about the climate thing, or?
But they're using it to kind of line their pockets,
Yeah, okay, so that's the carbon credit system, right? The CO2 tax. And the carbon credit system is very simple. Like, you can, you have your industry and it has like this, it is so-called polluting the planet with your CO2, with your carbon. And so what you do is you buy carbon credits to reduce it, right? It's like, you don't have the clean energy in your country or in your as your company. So what you do is you buy credits, like certificates from some other clean energy company, and then you can just buy it. Like, let's say you produce like 100 tons of damaging pollution, and you know there is some company that has 100 tons of clean energy producing. You just buy from them, and then you're on zero again, right? While you're just polluting, and so you can buy these carbon credits, and they're being traded all over the world. The bad thing is, okay, so this already sucks, but the bad thing is the poor countries or the poor companies, they can't buy these carbon credits. So what happens to them is they get limited. Their industry gets limited because they're not allowed to produce this CO2 or like the toxic stuff into the air, so called. And So that's how you limit them, and then that's how you put carbon caps or industry caps on Asia and on Africa, which the West sees as dangerous because they're growing fast. They're like increasing fast. They're building a lot of new industry, and to cap them, they're doing it with this carbon credit system. And the West will become rich, while the East and South Africa will keep poor, because India, for example, is a country where a lot of it is rich in some areas, right? But it is a country where a lot of people still use like candles to light their homes, right? And they're like so-called like electrifying, like they're introducing electricity everywhere, and they want to use modern things, and they want to like become like super advanced like the West too, and they're being stopped from doing that. The West is putting caps on their stuff, and because they're afraid of competition, of course. So the carbon credits thing is a really big dangerous thing, and people talking about stopping climate change with it. No, there are really powerful economic forces behind it. And then we have the other part of the whole climate thing, and that's the climate tax itself. That is the in 2008 we had the banking world collapsing, and the bankers needed money injections, and we were all forced to use our taxes to bail out the banks, right? And we bailed out the banks for with thousands of billions, and it saved our economy, so-called saved it. But now the whole banking world is again like tumbling down, because it needs an endless growth, and especially during the COVID stuff, it's going to do like not grow anymore. So what you need now is you need new money streams towards the banks. So what do the banks do now? They switch their logos to green, and they're going to get money from us. We're injecting money again with the carbon taxes that go to the green banks who lead this whole climate saving scheme. And that's how you inject constant flows of money into the banking world that actually needs it to save themselves from collapsing, like derivatives problems and these leverage investments that are crashing down. I mean, AK, you know, like we did the leverage stuff on like the crypto. I mean, I lost hundreds of bucks with it because it is just the risk is too big, and banks do this constantly. And when,
yeah, that's true. They over leverage. They over leverage money that they don't have, and then they got bailed out. For instance, like with the whole 2008 collapse, right? They over leveraged money that they didn't have, and they caused an economic collapse. And then what happens is the people bail them out, and the economy itself gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and the overall value of a dollar goes down over time. So, you know, now we're kind of on the precipice of a larger collapse. Nobody really knows when it's going to happen. Nobody can tell you when it's going to happen. But it's in the cards, it's seen, and it's obvious. The market went up significantly higher for Wall Street, for the Dow Jones and S&P 500 and all of that. You've seen the markets, the way that they've gone up. It's been a bubble, and when that bubble pops, that's when it's going to be the start of a downtrend in the economic sense, and we're going to start to see and feel effects of that. And there's no bailing the banks out this time again. They've run out of fuel. So
and to keep this whole leverage scam and the derivatives thing growing, you need a constant growth of the economy, because when you have a constant growth of the economy, the Federal Reserve can print new money and inject new money into the system, and that is how you keep it up, even if their investments go wrong. But if there is no growth, it all collapses at once, and that's the thing. And now you're dealing with the whole COVID situation, and there will not be any growth.
Yeah,
So-
it's a black swan event, right?
Yeah, yeah, and the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to dump the toxic investments, and you will see a lot of real estate, risky real estate becoming available. We saw it during in 2008 too. Half of Florida was for sale, right? I saw because is where, for example, Deutsche Bank or Dutch ING were heavily invested in Florida, and to keep the triple star rating from these rating companies, they dumped their toxic investments first, and they regarded the Florida investments, the American investments, they regarded as toxic. And that's how these big European banks were able to keep the 3-star rating, by dumping the toxic investments. And then in the case of the Dutch, we sold a lot of our gold supply. We had like a super large gold supply, and we sold 1,000 tons of our gold reserve, and we got 43 billion euros from selling that 1,000 tons of gold. And that's how we bailed out 2 of our banks and nationalized them temporarily, and that's how we kept a 3-star rating. And now, why is 3-star rating important? With a 3-star rating, you can borrow money from the central banks internationally at a cheaper rate. So what you do then, and this is what the Germans and the Dutch did, we borrow cheap money, and we and other countries will borrow from us at a higher interest. So we will profit off the economic collapse. We will just have other countries borrow money from us, and we borrow at a cheaper rate, and we make money on the interest. So, and that is how the north of Europe, Germany, Netherlands, some in Scandinavia, made a lot of money over the economic collapse. And at the same time, the countries in the south, like Greece and these countries which were collapsing, they borrow money from us. They get forced to borrow money from us at a higher interest, and we profit over the collapse of Greece. And these are huge financial scams that happen at this time, and there's not being reported about. But if you search for it, you will find everything about it. I mean, it is all available. It's not like it's secret. It's just not spoken about by mainstream media. So that's the thing.
And if you trade the Forex markets, you could actually trade on that. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's a fucked up thing. It's a fucked up thing. You could profit off of it, but it's like profiting off somebody else's suffering. Yeah, it's a slippery slope when it comes to the whole way that system is kind of organized. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, to be fair, you just have to like be interested in that kind of thing. I mean, there's so much corruption going on, and this is like, financial market is a very boring subject for most, but it can be very exciting if you find out about all these these corrupt scams and things, right? I mean, it's pretty shocking what they do. You're talking about, like, we talk about corruption inside companies. You talk about a few billion. You talk about billionaires like whatever, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, or whatever. But here you're talking about thousands and thousands of billions used in literal financial scams, and eventually this goes back. This is all tax money in the end, and this is what is done with public money that should actually be going to like the homeless and stuff, right? But no, it is being used for huge financial scams. Eventually, it's all tax money. So yeah. And this is thousands of billions a year. And I mean, okay, so in America, yeah, that's a different story. Like, the military-industrial complex keeps it running. Like, you're just injecting like a yearly amount of what is it now, 800 billion into the military-industrial complex, and you're moving 800 billion in tax money towards a few companies in the U.S., artificially keeping these companies running, and they will run your army. You start invading countries all around the world. You conquer all these natural resources and cheap real estate, which, if this real estate is developed, will be worth like 1,000 times what it is worth now. I mean, you're conquering empty land in Iraq next to the rivers and stuff. You fill this up with big villas and big condos 10 years from now, and you're talking about a profit margin of times like hundreds or 200 times the cost of this real estate. So that's how you you create leverage to borrow new money, and that's why you can endlessly increase your national debt, because you have collateral. The same like you go to a bank to borrow money. You say like, I have a house, let me borrow money. So yeah, the land next to the Tigris in Iraq, that is your house. You can go to the bank with. So you borrow more, you can increase your national debt forever.
I got a question for you. You know, our Fed says they gave the EU and other European banks like several $1 trillion. Do you hear anything about that, like from the other side? And then, if that's true, where does that money? How does that get funneled through the EU?
You mean the Federal Reserve buys bonds, I guess, state bonds. Is that what you mean? They buy bonds, and that's just like I think all that is.
Yeah, for our own domestic purposes, but they also are giving plenty of money to the EU central. According to them, they're giving money to the EU central bank and other European banks, and that's just about all you hear, to the tune of trillions. So how does, I guess I'm asking, is that true, or do you hear about it on the other side? And so, where does that money go?
That gets like others borrow. The normal banks borrow it from the central banks again at a higher interest. That's how these central banks attempt to make a profit. Pretty much.
Why would the EU central bank need any backing from us though?
I think they actually need it. I think they actually need it. I think they will say like, we'll borrow it from you and we will pay 2% interest a year. At the exact same moment, a big bank like Deutsche Bank already borrows from them at 3%, and they make directly a profit of 1% a year.
Yeah.
And
there has to be something like that going on. That is.
Yeah, and then Deutsche Bank that uses that borrowed money to buy cheap real estate, right, or to invest in whatever conquered country we have now. So, yeah. And that's like, you keep the state away from investing. Like, you can literally say like, no, we didn't invest in it. And well, actually, the U.S. Federal Reserve invested directly into the real estate in like Iraq or whatever. But you're doing it through Deutsche Bank, who borrows money from you. So yeah, you give the money to the European Central Bank, 2% interest you get back. Deutsche Bank borrows from them 3%. Deutsche Bank invests with the money into weird ass stock like the new green revolution, and cheap real estate in some foreign country you don't own at all. You just forced these people. So yeah, it's like such a huge scale. But yeah, the Federal Reserve does it too. But the European Central Bank does it too, and the Chinese also gave thousands of billions to the Americans. I mean, when Trump talks about a trade war with the Chinese, yeah, I'm sorry, but the Chinese gave you thousands of billions in loans, and you are paying it back to them. Like, you have like such a huge debt at the Chinese, but there is a this is the leverage you need too. This is the collateral you need too towards the Chinese, because imagine that they gave you thousands of billions in dollars, right? So what happens if your dollar collapses? That means like the money they gave you, and when you pay it back, it will be worth nothing. So, like, okay, let's say you can buy a Mercedes car with the money you borrow from someone, and then your currency collapses, and the same amount of money you borrowed can only buy you one loaf of bread. So you're forcing the Chinese and the other countries to never allow the US dollar to collapse. The more you borrow, the more you force them to never allow your US dollar to collapse, because they will never get anything back of the money they gave you.
Well, that's why they started dumping treasury bonds years ago. China and the think it was India, actually. China and India started dumping treasury bonds like crazy. Because those treasury bonds are actually insured, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're still going to owe, like the U.S. is still going to owe debt to China. I mean, it's beyond this point. I mean, they owe trillions. I mean,
Yeah, but look, so Saddam Hussein said he would dump the US dollar for euros and trade in euros. And Gaddafi said he would dump the US dollar and trade in gold dinars or whatever, right? Or maybe in euros too at first. But
well, yeah, he said he was going to create a gold dinar currency. What the fuck was it called? Fuck. I don't remember what it was called. There was a name out there for it, but I can't remember.
yeah, I
But
know
yeah.
he contacted South Africans to press golden coins for him. It would be like an African currency. He had meetings with all these African
Yeah.
leaders.
Right. Yep.
But the second he does that, the Americans invade, right? And because they don't want their dollar to collapse. But that's not the big issue. It's obviously that's what they're going to do, right? But the fact is, why is no other country stopping them? Because they don't want the dollar to collapse either. So they're just letting the Americans clean up their own little trouble, and they're letting them do it. Like the Chinese or the Russians are not going to stop these Americans from destroying Gaddafi or destroying Iraq. They're not going to participate because it costs them money, but they're just letting the Americans do it. Because they don't want their dollar to collapse. It's the dollar they want to be repaid in dollars, and the dollars need to be worth more. That's actually beneficial to them than before. In many ways, by the way. So yeah, that is like geopolitics. People, that's very hard to get a grasp on.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, like. It's like on the surface they're all fighting, but then behind the scenes, yeah, these financial masters, they know exactly what they're doing. They're doing it for hundreds or what, thousands of years.
Yeah.
Oh, dead air.
Yeah.
Um,
You have like a huge
But-
amount of topics.
talk about, yeah. Let me see. The head of CISA won't. It's not Brian Krebs. It's another guy. Yeah, the head of CISA won't take down the threat he has going on the site for about Trump's claim of fraudulent votes. He says he's not taking it down, and he's expected to get fired tomorrow.
Who? Wait, where is this?
The head of CISA,
Oh, yeah.
cyber intelligence.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They won't. He won't. He has this think thread. It's called Rumor Reports, and he's not taking down the fact check thing that he has on there, where he's basically shutting down everything about the voter fraud stuff. And he says he's expecting to get fired. So, I think I RT'd it too.
How do you guys think that will end with the whole Trump-Biden situation?
I don't know. There's been some scary shit that went down this week where, Trump was firing, the head leaders at the Pentagon, and I don't know. I really am not sure what's going on, but that's very bizarre for your last 70 days in office.
It kind of looks like he's trying to do a power coup. That's
Yep.
what it looks to me.
Yeah.
all the European leaders already acknowledged Biden and said welcome to him. Should note by that neither China or Russia acknowledged Biden yet. So that's just important to say, I guess.
Yeah, Chris Krebs. There you go. It's on the rumor report. It says, "Protect 2020: Rumor versus Reality, and Mis and Disinformation." And it says it was basically around the election and what Trump is saying and what he is saying.
Right, and that's the guy who actually is alleged to be working with Trump for this whole conspiracy about QFS blockchain, and it's all bullshit. But once again,
he's shooting down everything about these fraudulent elections on this.
Right. Well, yeah, but Steve Pieczenik went up and said that, Trump is playing 4D chess, and like these people, like, I don't know. I thought Steve Pieczenik was not that bad of a guy, but now I'm like, well, he kind of seems like he's still working like disinformation intelligence, because he's putting out this like bullshit that there's blockchain involved in the votes, and it's like,
sting operation.
Yeah, it was a sting operation, and I'm like, okay, well, Krebs did kind of say some things, it could be partially true, but then you look into actually how difficult it would be to do something like that.
There would be no security if it was because you would have to have servers, keeping the chain alive. And there would be a lot of security flaws right there.
Well, if they did stamps, and then no, if they did stamps, right, and stamped every single ballot with a different QR code that then goes back to a blockchain, right, it would work. But the thing is, in order to do that, it would be difficult as fuck. You should watch Charles Hoskinson. He has a really good explanation of this. The founder of Cardano, right? He has a really good explanation of this and why it's impossible. And it makes sense, like what he says. It's just bullshit, man. It's just bullshit. They didn't put the votes on a blockchain. You should watch, and people Charles are like pushing this again. And let me just note, it's the QFS blockchain, right? The QFS. Always with Q, man. Like.
Well, that just sounds like the same old Q bullshit. Or it's just all that CIA disinformation. Trust the plan as they play you.
Yeah, right, but it's coming from a former intelligence guy. That's where it's coming from. Former intelligence coming from Steve Pieczenik. He's the one who said it. He's the one who went on InfoWars and said it first. Right. And that was getting propagated then through the right side. And they believe it. It's like, at some point you have to realize you're getting fucking played.
I don't know if AJ's on board with that, but one of his guys, David Knight, he's sick of Steve Pieczenik, sick of Trump and all his Q shit, horse shit, and his something.
Yeah,
and he won't let Pieczenik back on his show either. What's going on now?
I mean, Pieczenik is literally just putting out bullshit. Like, the guy's either A, gone senile, or B, he's still working with intelligence in the U.S. and spreading bullshit. And the question that everybody should ask is, why would he be spreading bullshit? Is this like a big experiment to see how many people would believe it? Like, what's going on?
Hey, on that
It's
note,
that even.
oh, go ahead. Do it first.
It's an even deeper and darker agenda.
Yeah. Did you guys see that like half the internet went down yesterday?
Yeah, I was noticing some. Yeah, there's been some pretty weird cyber attacks. You know,
This one was really big. I mean, YouTube, Twitch,
you
Facebook,
look.
everything went down.
Yep. Yeah.
The cyber attacks have been going on since August, and even before that, remember how I was like documenting it in all of our chats and saying how, these are like nation state cyber attacks that are happening because they're too big.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I mean, we found out with the Murray botnet that all you need to do is hijack a few, couple 100,000 Internet of Thing devices. You can literally take down pretty big shit.
Yeah.
Whatever terabits now.
Terabytes, but you can take down some big servers or sites, but not everything all at once.
Yeah. Not everything, but I mean, but if you know where to hit and what to hit and its weak point, you can take down a lot of shit.
These are clearly nation-state attacks. These are clearly nation-state attacks coming back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I can't figure out if it's China and the U.S. or if it's China or China and the U.S.
Oh God, no!
Iran and the U.S.
You got the right. No, Lazarus would be more of a culprit than anything else. To be honest, they're the ones who. Remember, Lazarus almost walked away. They was a 1 billion, and they walked away with 80 million. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, but I mean, it's at that point. I mean, it could be China, it could be Russia. It doesn't have to be Lazarus. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the U.S. and Korea, North Korea. I mean.
Oh, that went sideways a long time ago. That was everything that they were doing when Trump and him were holding hands and all that shit. That was all facade just to get them off us off their backs. They're back to doing what for building weapons. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
What's funny is that I heard 3 times this year that Kim is dead. I mean, like. It's starting to become like a regular, like next week he's dead and he's alive again, like that's.
He's been resurrected, man. Come on.
I know, yeah. Apparently, I do know. I did hear a rumor that he is an alcoholic and he smokes and drinks heavily and he has gout and he's had multiple. I heard heart surgeries, so.
Yeah, well, when he dies,
Poor
it's
guy.
probably his younger sister getting to power instantly. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I've said this on the show a lot of times. I don't think people are key to it, but North Korea really for a long time has supported their country on hacking and drug production, like heroin, methamphetamine. They were using methamphetamine on unreal scale for a long time with these government-sponsored labs. So I mean, this is like shit you don't hear about. You really have, but if you dig, you can find the information. It's out there.
Yeah, so it was just weird. Like everything, it went down at once. Sometimes it happens, like a big network goes down, but to see Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Google network itself, like the Google search engine, literally going down. I've never seen it before. I'm plenty of times literally use Google to see if my own internet is up. Like, it's like that's how reliable it is.
Down to had like everything down yesterday. Apparently, I didn't even know that YouTube was down. I had no idea. I actually woke up yesterday and apparently I was told that the whole internet was down, and I was like, really? And I looked it up, and I was like, oh shit, major cyber attack happened while I was sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, in the US, Sprint, Verizon, T-Mobile, and I forgot that other one, all went down at the same moment too. So it's pretty much all your major phone companies went down.
Right. Yeah, the major cell towers. And that's the thing. Again, attack like that is a nation state. Okay?
Or an off button. Yeah, I mean, like, no, I'm like very serious. Like, I'm like thinking, like, I get into like all these conspiracy thoughts and thinking like maybe they're testing something, like to put like your these things on off, like they want to control the internet, I guess. But it's a nation state or it's a huge botnet. I don't know what kind of botnet it would be. I mean, Mirai was big, I know, but yeah, I'm not sure. It's very hard to target like multiple targets like that.
It's Cobra.
Yeah, I was gonna say somebody's got a big toy hidden up in their alley.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that AK does make a good point. Like, I mean, it's very like, if you use a botnet, yeah, it's possible you take down like a huge infrastructure, but how do you take down all the phone companies at once? Like, they have completely different infrastructures and completely different uplinks towards the internet.
That's what I'm saying, that whatever's being used, it's been being tested this whole entire year. I think since June, whenever I started documenting all those cyber attacks. You remember, it was like literally like one after the other. Maybe it could have even been as early as May. But basically, right, every single month there's been a cyber attack for like the past 6 months. And it's been crazy, man. Like, these attacks, they're not like they're not small attacks. They're very large attacks. And we contacted Level 3 and multiple times through our networks and everything, and they've said nothing is unusual. And it's just like, well, something's going on, because these attacks, like, you can't just take out half the internet and say nothing happened. Like.
Okay, but even if you take out level 3, okay, so you take out level 3, you will take out 30 to 40% of the United States internet websites, the big companies. But not everything like this. Like, you will need to target both level 3. You need to target Cogent, and you need to target Telia, Sonera. You need to take all the 3 towns. You need to take it all down. And I think Verizon, they even have their own network separate from it.
Verizon and T-Mobile, they have their own network.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So you're talking like, okay, so you target level 3, Cogent, Telia. You target Verizon, and you target like Sprint, and you take it all down. Like, okay, but you're talking about.
That's a very large. That's what I'm saying. It's a very large cyber attack. It has to be a nation state doing it. I don't know who, but it's not just a normal like hacker. It's not, or a hacking group. It's not. It has to be a nation state with some type of exploit that they're now using against the U.S. because it's been constant for the past couple months, and I've been waiting for it to get worse and worse, and waiting for like days of downtime, but it hasn't happened yet. So it seems like somebody's testing something. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, it could also be like a software thing, like that you're messing with like the DNS settings, and you have it populate invalid DNS settings, so nothing becomes reachable, because you put in like DNS settings, and they all share it from each other automatically, so they take it all over, and then they all copy it. So and then it becomes all becomes unreachable until there's like an update. I don't know what else I can think of at this point. because you're not just going to launch like 100 terabit attacks on 5 different locations.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's why it has to be there. There's got to be some type of exploit happening here. And I mean, Alamo says something. I don't know if you want to say that yourself, but I guess I'll just let you speak on it. But I'll lead into it. He's talking about quantum computer, but even a quantum computer wouldn't like have that much power. Like, there's something going on there. Yeah, whoever's doing this, they've got a lot of fucking power for a botnet.
And I see these, quantum machines are, up and running. I just don't know what they're doing. The bigger labs have them, IBM, Google.
There's a couple of them. I mean, they're not as popular as you would think. I think the price tag on one of them, we're talking around, I think, 20 million just for the base unit.
They're also not stable.
Yeah, they have to be deep. They have to be frozen to the point where it's as close to absolute zero as you can get, so they can get what's in the quantum bit where the electron is both in both states at the same time. It's both on and off, so that you can get it can process a lot more at the same time if you get both at the same time. So we're talking. I don't know. Actually, I never actually looked at this actual processing speed on a quantum computer. I just heard these weird facts that they were using it to go through like the I don't know which jet fighter it was, but they were using it to like go through like a code in a matter of seconds. So I just don't remember what the hell they were using it for.
A lot faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that would help you in an attack like this. I mean,
Me neither.
No, so I was thinking about a software setting, or someone cut the power wires. So I don't know anything else. Because it reminds me, in my country a few years ago, the entire internet went down too, and it was because there was a power problem at NICHAF in Amsterdam, which is at the airport, and it runs like more than half of the infrastructure, and everything went down and had to be rerouted to like locations in Germany and everything, and it was a huge downtime for like half a day to most of the internet in our country, and it was only due to a power failure in a NICHAF building, and so it had nothing to do with an attack or something. They just had a power problem. So yeah, that's what also happens. That's also a thing we have to still consider, that it's an easy thing. You cut the power wires, or there's an overload in some way, and it all goes down. Like, that's how weak it is.
Well, overloading, I mean, that would be pushing. That would be a DDoS attack, and that's what it kind of seems like when these large companies are going down for hours and hours at a time. It seems like it's a DDoS attack. It doesn't seem like it's any other type of attack. Although, as you said, like, there's DNS attacks. Like, you could poison DNS and do it that way. But, we don't really know, like, all the facts of this. There's all types of different types of attacks that you could do that could theoretically cause the results of what we're seeing. But it definitely looks like, based off of the traffic analysis and everything, that it's a DDoS attack where you're seeing like terabytes and terabytes of data just flooding in out of nowhere. Like, that's what it looks like to me. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. Thing is, like with YouTube, the site itself was up, but if you clicked like on a video, it just wouldn't load. So it's not like the entire the site was not being attacked directly. There is the infrastructure behind it was being attacked. Like, they're not like putting in like a YouTube.com as a target. They're targeting something else. Like they're targeting like the infrastructure. Okay, yeah. But yeah, false DNS settings. You can do it like that. It's how I would do it. You put in like fucked up DNS settings. All the other providers automatically copy it because that's just how it's been done these days. And you have and then you have to wait until like the next update, like the next DNS update, because they have like some update like once an hour, some update like every 4 hours, or every once a day or twice a day. So you can keep it down for an hour until there is a new update done, unless you do like a forced update, like a flushing of the DNS. But otherwise you have to wait until there is an update, and that's how you can keep these sites down. But yeah, that has to be someone inside, like an authority company, like Google itself, for example, doing it. Then I think.
You also have to think of the possibility in regards to Google and YouTube that they could be implementing some type of technology and updating their systems.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say on that. Like, you know, like they've said for years that they would try to do away with a lot of conspiracy theories or on the website, and they could be updating their algorithms for whatever, and pushing that update within that time period of being down. So we don't know. But the thing that like everybody needs to kind of realize is that it wasn't just Google, it wasn't just YouTube. It was like basically every U.S. service was down yesterday from what I saw on Down Detector. Like I saw Steam down, I saw Amazon Amazon web servers down, Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint. Well, Sprint is technically T-Mobile now, but they still do show it there. So AT&T, you know, all the major mobile carriers were down, and then there's ISPs that were down, Comcast, Time Warner, all of those in the U.S., all the ISPs, they had problems as well. So when it happens like that in a split second and everything is just down, it's got to be a cyber attack.
Sounds like your own government doing it to you.
Yeah, that's what it looked to me too, and it was kind of strange. Like almost like someone pressed an off button. The number of sites was so large. Like almost like they're testing something. But that's just totally conspiracy stuff. Like
you see it,
which to take over.
You see it done on nation bases. You know, some of these guys. I don't know where you were trying to get a hold of. One time I was over there in India or Kashmir. You know, they can hunt a country or.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was also thinking about like the Kashmir situation and stuff. Like that, if they like fear like an uprising in the U.S. Let's say like you have people really are convinced that like Biden or whatever rigged the votes, and you have like a lot of Trump supporters going into the streets, and they need to organize, and they use communications like from the phone companies and all the social media. As a government, it makes sense that if you have like a really oppressive government, you're able to shut it all down. And also then the second thing is like the whole lockdowns thing. Like Biden announced like lockdowns and all these things, and maybe they expect some uprising in some sort, and then they want to be able to like shut it all down. I'm not going to say they're going to do it, but they might be testing it, or at least give the appearance that they can do it. This sounds really bad and super into conspiracy stuff, but you don't have to be surprised by it. Like it happened.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, they've been doing it for months now. If that's what it is, I mean, it's been being tested for months. Whatever the fuck it is, it's been being tested for months now. Because I've seen these large outages that just happen out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I still think, I don't know if you're paying attention or not, but what's been going on recently with the Chinese and the U.S. in the South Chinese Sea, I still think that's what's going on. I think that the U.S. and China are taking tit for tats, and China is, instead of using military force, using cyber force. That's what I think is going on. I haven't gotten proof of that. I haven't gotten anybody who told me that. But that's what I kind of feel. That's my gut feeling. Because a lot of these cyber attacks in the U.S. have happened right after significant events. Like, for instance, when in August, I think it was August, a diplomat met with the Taiwan's diplomat to discuss trade with Taiwan, and then there was a cyber attack on the U.S. So I still think that's what's going on here. I think that China is issuing large-scale cyber attacks against the U.S. And it makes the most sense because of what's going on geopolitically. Just this week, there was something that happened. Let me try to dig it up and find it for you. I read it, and I just kind of slipped by. 1 second.
Okay, well, China is capable of that. I mean, I'm not sure if people know that China actually produces the antennas to the 4G and the 5G networks, and these antennas allow remote updates, for example, and so it wouldn't really be hard to inject some different settings into it, and then we go back to like the DNS population thing. If you would put in like fraudulent DNS stuff into it, it would populate towards all the other providers, and they would be all unreachable. So that's possible technically. Wouldn't need a denial of service for that. But you can. I mean, China can do it. I mean, they have the capabilities to do it. So yeah. But it is a super huge scale. It would be like an act of war. I mean, you're attacking an economy of a country really bad. I mean, take it down for a day like that. You're also talking about taking down the stock markets, etc. So yeah, it's not a good thing, of course. I mean,
No.
I mean, you're talking about banking, everything. You take down the economy for a day. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's far more harmful than sending out some missiles into a country, to be honest. These days, everything is digitalized now. So.
Okay, so this is the series of events that happened this week. Basically, China extended its reach in the Caribbean, causing the U.S. to panic. So that alone kind of just tells me there's something there, like, going on. China had a sub dive 35,790 feet down on the Mariana Trench on a record-breaking expedition. I don't know if that's related. Also, this week, just on November 11th, China clamps down on internet giants. So make of that.
He went after the Chinese. Kind of went after Jack Mott this week.
That's the Alibaba guy, right?
Yeah. They made him step down. He tried doing an IPO, and the Chinese president was not happy with him doing that.
Yeah, I've heard rumors like over the last year that people say that he's just going to have an accident.
Yeah.
He has way too much influence over there.
Well, you can be rich like that, but they don't
You
like
have
it.
to respect
You have to just be very discreet about it. You can't just flaunt it.
Sure can't threaten the government, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, I thought it was very weird. You know how Jack used to talk about entrepreneurship, and then like a year or two ago, he said he was part of. It was kind of like not really announcing it, but I heard rumors he had joined the Chinese Communist Party, and like 6 months later, he was basically told to step down from Alibaba, from a multi-billion-dollar company that he started himself.
Yeah. Step down from Alibaba, or you're not going to have your life. Like, that's basically what they would say.
Basically, yeah. I think the Chinese president kind of saw him as, look, you already have billions of dollars. Why are you trying to, pump and dump an IPO?
Yeah.
You know, I guess that might have been the argument down.
Jack Ma is also fucked up, though. I mean,
Yeah, he's not a good guy. No, not at all. He used to praise on the fact that his programmers would literally be working 12-hour days and barely making ends meet. And he said, if you work for Alibaba, you need to work like a machine or a robot. But you know.
yeah, that's what he said. He said, if you're not prepared to work 12 hours a day, you don't have to apply for a job. You can fuck off.
Yeah, and he doesn't even, there's like no real advancement or anything. It's basically just like a more fucked up version of Amazon.
Yeah.
And Amazon wants to get rid of the whole human factor just to save more money at some point. So it's sort of a lot of these gig jobs like DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber. Right now they're dumping money into autonomous vehicle testing.
Well, wait. I just gotta say, as somebody who orders DoorDash a lot, that it might be better if they were all automated, because they fuck up a lot.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, like, right now, I don't even know if I should be even saying this. They have this French company that's here right now, and they got this special licensing up in San Francisco, and they're testing out how safely they are to implement them into a driverless, taxi service. So.
So what are they gonna have, like the restaurants like fill the cars and then the cars?
No. They right now they have a driver that's behind the wheel, but they're going to be testing it out for like a year or two. So.
Well, I mean, like, I just want to know how my food's gonna get from point A to point B if it's just a car driving. Like.
I could just tell you from experience and working, even fixing cars, is that the car is not going to know if a bolt is loose or I mean, it'll know that something is wrong, as far as a lot of the parts that are moving, but there's a lot of things that just happen on cars that you would literally have to have like a sensor on every bolt. I'm not really joking about that. There's a lot of things that you just wouldn't think about that would go wrong on a fully autonomous vehicle. I don't. You know what I'm talking about, Alma, right?
Well, I think they have driverless 18-wheelers now that they're running in Colorado.
Yeah,
several years ago.
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard one of them killed somebody too.
All right, man. Well, there always has to be the first one.
Yeah.
I just don't know how widespread it is. That seems dangerous, but hey. From shuttling stations, like big central depots, very, let's just call them easier routes. No hard through the city. A computer, I think, could do that nowadays. and just be shuttling stuff around, to major depots, and then still let the humans handle all the local drops.
If they could completely redesign, it wouldn't be. I mean, not gas powered, even electrical power. That would be more of a reality, because anything that's fuel injected, there's going to be a bunch of parts where you can't put sensors. So.
Well, somebody's still got to work on them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. The truck still needs. It's like any big. It's just a big robot now, so you still got to fix it.
Are you going to get a robot to fix the robot?
Yeah, I haven't seen too many good examples of that. That's the dream come true. Yeah, then we're truly, they can just kill humans off at that point. We won't need it, but until they can get there. But I don't really see anything doing that.
I've seen some very interesting automation machines when it comes to like food and smoothie making machines and pallet driving robots. I've seen some very interesting things, but I don't think replacing a delivery driver is going to be an easy task.
No, I also saw where Tony Chu was where he was trying to have an autonomous robot, and like it basically looked like a fucking R2D2 with like a fucking ice chest on top of it. And like here I am thinking like I'm just like, this might work in like an ideal world, but I could just see somebody from bashing that thing over with a baseball bat and stealing it. You know what I mean? I know that these guys want to make their cut down on costs and all that shit, but in reality, like that's what will happen. People jacking these things left and right. Come on, I mean, it's like it goes 2 or 3 miles an hour, has to get into a car, and I guess the only security they had if it moved a little wrong, it just makes noise. Okay, that's not going to stop somebody with a bat,
Right.
I don't know. Remember when Amazon wanted to use drones for their deliveries, and I think they actually are in some rural areas. But it's the same thing. Some kid with a BB gun trying to shoot it down so he can get the package.
Well, they're really on them because you're attacking Amazon. Like,
well, wait. I don't think you're taking down an Amazon drone with a BB gun. I mean, you're going to need a little bit more firepower there.
I'm just throwing.
But yeah, it's a good point. I mean, it makes sense. I think that these robots could easily get stolen. And then it's like, oh, well, what are you going to have, a tracker on the robot? I guess, but I mean, somebody could scrap it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, now porch pirating is like a thing now.
Wait, what?
You ever heard of porch pirates?
No.
Those are the guys, how like Amazon and all that big thing now? Porch pirates are just the guy in your neighborhood who just comes by and takes your package when you're not home.
That happens a lot around here.
Yeah.
I thought that was called being a thief, but I guess we'll change it to porch pirates. Even though it's kind of like an endearing term, I mean, it's not like like thief. That's like being called a thief is bad, but I mean, porch pirate. I mean, it sounds like you're kind of like
sailing the 7 seas and
sailing the 7 seas.
Well,
We actually have listeners on that new YouTube channel, Tyler.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, he's saying a lot of stuff. But we also have questions on Twitter. One person was asking about the cyber attacks. And he was saying, do you guys think Israel is involved too with the cyber attacks?
I mean, that's a good question because that's where Israel is kind of ahead of the game, where they militarize their. To be honest, don't really see them doing that kind of stuff. But if Israel had done a cyber attack, you'd be pointing your finger at another country. It was just them. So
Yeah, no, exactly.
they're more stealthy about what they do. In fact, a lot of the stuff they do never gets caught. So
No, and that makes sense. I mean, they have a very advanced intelligence agency. They know far better what they're doing, and because they're small, it is a way better organized than the large countries. Not saying in power or in scale, but they're far more able to keep secrets, far better able to keep secrets. So yeah, there will be more stealthy attacks, I assume. Yeah, and so that probably answers that. I mean, you probably know more about that, Tyler. I really don't. So.
well, yeah, Facebook bought a lot of their security stuff. They didn't develop that on their own. About 2 years ago, they bought it from some of their back end stuff from Israel. I remember it was right around the time when they were doing all the authenticate yourself and make sure that you are who you say you are. Kind of the thing was going around. Everybody's losing accounts.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody knew what was going on. That was the Israeli software. I just don't think they implemented it into their system very well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Speaking of Facebook, did you hear Mark Zuckerberg wouldn't take down what's his name? That guy who said that was threatening violence towards Dr. Fauci.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mark Zuckerberg wouldn't take down his account for violating terms of service, and now all of a sudden, Mark Zuckerberg is defending free speech. He picks and chooses. He basically plays favorites. He doesn't enforce any of his rules accurately. I mean, if you're in politics and he doesn't like what you're saying, then he gets rid of you. But if there's some financial backings, he won't get rid of you. So it's there's a bunch of reasons he's probably going to go down. It is becoming more of a ghost town as the years go on. But
a lot of people are looking for alternatives. Now it's not as popular as it was.
No. I think there was there was billions of accounts at one point. Now it's not like that.
Hey, someone
I don't know
asked.
Go ahead.
Well, you know who's booming is 2 million people in one day this last week, and the thing they're noticing there is it's like the YouTube of old. It's like their numbers are just people can move. Where they've been 5-10 years on fucking YouTube and Facebook doing. They might have a couple 100,000. Well, they've got that in 6 months on par because they're not running stupid algorithms thing up.
Hey,
Yeah,
someone is asking.
They've banned people already too. There's been reports of people being suspended on Parler for whatever reason. I mean, so it's not. It's just like Twitter.
Just real quick, guys. Someone is asking, where is John Titor's account?
Oh yeah.
John Titor is the time traveler, and he seems to be following ABB now too. So
Oh yeah, he tagged us.
yeah, so he's a guy.
There he is.
He's from like 2036.
It's at uppercase J lowercase OHN underscore TIT0R, and if you look at his first post,
That's not a troll, Tyler.
Oh, he's a troll himself.
nope, post September 6th, anonymous bite back. The movement that was created by the so-called QA's lie. He is also another time traveler. Try to end the war, but not for the side that you think.
What?
Yeah, he claims Q is also a time traveler, just like him.
Yes, he did.
Is that right?
Yeah, I followed the account because I thought it was interesting. I'm not gonna lie, kind of.
Well, he is. He is. He's capable of doing it, right? And people believe him. Still do. Like a lot of people. But yeah, okay. Some people are very skeptical.
Yeah, when I looked at John Titor, he still has that fucking shitty fucking all HTML website. It's still up, and somebody's flipping the bill on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand. How stupid are you people to believe that? But all right.
Yeah, I do remember. I don't know.
I just want to know from John Titor, right? I just want to know. Please, just tell me what the winning lottery numbers are for 2021. So that.
Yeah, but he is just doing a psychological project, I think, a psychological experiment. So.
Yeah,
I remember. Do you guys remember Bell before he basically went off on the deep end and then died, a drug overdose?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I was an avid listener in the late 90s, early 2000s for Art Bell before he switched off to George Norrie and Mike Siegel. I do remember the time traveler calls, and they were so random. They would happen at like weird hours of the night, like 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Didn't John Titor go on?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did, and I remember him saying that he needed a computer from 1973 to do this weird calculation. He wasn't the weirdest one. The weirder time traveler guy, and I thought it was a troll. Went on for years, right? I'm like talking about a span of like 4 or 5 years. This guy would call in randomly. He's called Madman Marco. And I remember a week before he disappeared and never called again, he was talking about how he was stealing industrial-sized transformers, which he said he needed them for some experiment, so that he needed the power to do whatever he was going to do. And I thought that he might have just accidentally killed himself, like. But that much electricity, I don't know what the fuck he would do. But yeah, that was the last time. Yeah, and he might have vaporized himself. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Yeah. John Titor. He wanted that. What was it? An IBM old IBM computer.
Yeah.
IBM
from the 70s.
1970. Yeah, 1973 IBM.
To do an intense calculation.
Oh, though, like 1973 IBM computer.
Yeah, that's all. That's the entire reason he went like back in time and stuff. Like I don't know why he didn't go back to like the 1970s then, like to get actually a new one. But yeah, it's an IBM 5100, and it's set 1975.
Landed in this.
I remember he was saying in the early 2000s, like how he visited himself. He said that he was visiting the child version of himself, and that he didn't create that. What's that thing in Back to the Future, where it's like a paradox where you meet your own self and destroy the universe? And I remember like him saying he didn't do it. It didn't happen. I don't know. Like you know what it actually reminds me of? John Titor's story. There was a show in the late 2000s. You remember called Sliders, where they were in alternate reality? Yeah, I think that's like the backdrop of like John Titor, and he must have just watched too many episodes of Sliders, and just instead of parallel dimensional traveling, he just turned it to time travel. It's the exact same concept.
Yeah.
It's always in a different reality because it's on a different timeline, or because he's altered something. So, same concept.
Thing is, he appeared on like the Art Bell show, right? Like if you appear on there, you already have like this crowd of listeners who like pretty much believe everything, and they will follow you, and they will just amplify you wherever you go.
Do you remember when they had this? You know that the burning pit that's in Turkmenistan, and apparently
gate to hell.
There was originally that they were saying that it was really like a gate to hell, and somebody made a fake audio clip of somebody who dumped it into this fire pit, and you could hear people screaming, and people actually thought it was a pit to hell in Turkmenistan.
Yeah, but they did the same with during the Cold War. That was actually the same recording, I think, but they said like, okay, so the US and Russia were like competing to make like the deepest hole, right? And they were like boring into the ground to make like the deepest hole inside the earth. And they said like, okay, so when the Russians won, of course, they started to like dig like a super deep hole, and then they said like suddenly they started hearing these screams like they reached hell, right? And then they closed down the hole. And okay, that hole actually exists, and this is closed down. It's just like there's like concrete poured over it. But the recording was just like an edited recording of some existing audio thing. I think it was the same recording, I'm not sure. But they said it was the pit of hell, and you could hear people screaming and stuff.
Yeah, I remember Dr. Michio Kaku, he's been on there, on that show. So has the Antiquities guy, you know, that weird, it's always on all those Egypt shows. He was on Art Bell like tons of times. So was these you know the guy, the men who stand the goats, you know, those guys that was based off of a real story for the remote viewing.
Oh yeah, that is real.
Yeah, he had some of those some guys that they're not in the military, but some of those guys were part of that project. Used to call on there.
Or Coast to Coast AM. If you these guys like George Knapp and George Nori and stuff, they will cover anything, and sometimes it's actually pretty interesting what they will cover. Like that guy and Art Bell too. You have that guy who said he escaped from Area 51, and he was like on their show. He was like freaking out. They're coming at me. They will triangulate at me soon, and then he disappeared.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember the episode. And then the whole entire like show radio went down.
Yeah, it actually went down. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Art Bell came back, and he was like, "The hell was that?" He was like, "Is that legitimate? Like, what? We don't understand what just happened. The satellites went down."
Is it that Bob Lazar?
No, another guy.
Bob Lazar was the guy who said he escaped from Area 51.
Yeah, but that's not. No, this is a different call. It's the Area 51 caller on Coast to Coast, and basically he called in and was like, "I don't have much time. They're going to triangulate on me, right?" And then he's like saying, he's like the beings that they claim to be, they aren't who they claim they are. They are an evil alien race. And then like he like cut out, and then the show dropped off, and then Art Bell came back, and he was like, "I don't know what the hell that was, but he might be legit."
Hey, but what Alamo says, Bob Lazar, that story, what do you guys think of that, Bob Lazar?
I mean, it's on
one. Yeah, because he came up with. I was digging into the whole. The thing that doesn't make sense to me, and this is something that kind of legitimate kind of makes Bob Lazar's story legitimate, but it also kind of makes it non-factual. So he talked about an element 15, right, which we just discovered in 2013, but we have to use Hydron or proton accelerator, whatever it is, with the CERN machine where they had to split create new elements. And the way that they are making it, it degrades within a trillionth of a second. And I heard that digging in some physics magazines that it might not even be a stable element. They're thinking, because they made element 117, which can stay stable for about 11 hours. I think that if there was an element, a stable element 115, it wouldn't be in our neck of the woods. And you get the heavier elements in your universe. They're made from what's known as neutron stars. They're basically these mega stars that just implode on themselves and don't become black holes. To get the elements, you need to have two of these things collide with each other. So if it is, it would probably be made by some ultra massively dense neutron star, which is nowhere in our neck of the. But apparently, that was the element that was for the drive system, where you basically use the same kind of what Bob Lazar was describing is that it's basically the same concept as Star Trek. So.
Okay.
But.
Yeah, what makes Bob Lazar also legitimate, more legitimate? I mean, I don't actually believe him, but there is something up with his story, and that is that they erased his history, which is true, because they said like, okay, he went to like this college and this tech education, and they said like, no, it's not true, right? Everything is fake. But then people contacted the old people who went to that same college, and they said they remember him. He was there, and these were just people. And then he was already known as like a famous inventor. He put like what was it, like a rocket engine on a bike or whatever, and he was like put in a newspaper as this crazy inventor, right? And he was on Joe Rogan. He was on other shows, and while he was on Joe Rogan, his house got raided by the FBI, like on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
So these are kind of weird things.
He was. I remember hearing about it. An excerpt. Apparently, they were interested in. He was selling radioactive isotopes, but they weren't like anything you'd be really kind of worried about. But apparently, it was just a way for them to come into his house because they see radioactive. And.
Yeah, and then he also said like, okay, so the U.S. military is testing these reverse engineered UFOs at Area 51, and they do it at this and this time, and then he took people to it, and they actually did see these things in the air flying and stuff. Like, at the exact time he said they would come, they were visible. So, there is certainly something up with this story. I mean, he knows more than... so I think he was actually in that base. Maybe he's like exaggerating some things and lying about some things, but I do think he was actually in that base. They're just saying, this is my opinion. And also, they said... Okay, one more thing, and that is, they claimed he was never directly contracted by these people. The fact is, they contracted his company, and it does appear on the records that they contracted his company to do it. So he was never a direct employee, but he was. They outsourced work to his company. So, yeah, there are records of that.
Yeah, I saw the documentary. I don't know if you've seen it or not, the Bob Lazar documentary, and absolutely 100% convinced. And I think the reason why that they raided his house was that documentary, because in that documentary he has a little small piece of element 115, and he's showing it off in the documentary, and it's like almost like a metallic object, but it's stronger. And as Tyler said about neutron stars, there's also they're called Magnetron stars.
Magnetar.
Magnetar stars. So, yeah, I think if, and they have just recently discovered element 115. You know, that's out there. So, you know, how would he be able to predict that if, you know, like, if he wasn't involved in it? Like, he would be damn accurate.
Yeah, and what also interests me about his story is, one, he never wanted to be public. He has refused most interviews. He didn't ask for any money or whatever, and he gets discredited and stuff. But he never asked for publicity, and that's also a thing that interests me. It took them a lot of effort to get him in shows, and I mean most celebrities are like, it's a wet dream to go on Joe Rogan, right? This guy refused most of the things. It takes a lot of effort to convince him, and that speaks to his legitimacy. And second, what I thought was very interesting is that he pointed towards ancient archaeology, and he said they are keeping stuff in these military bases. They actually dig out from the ground, and this is all technology and stuff, and that is what they do base their research on. That they're finding things, probably from civilizations.
I didn't see that. No, I had no idea about that. It makes sense though. Years ago, who's that woman who runs Earth Files? I can't remember her name now off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to look it up before I go forward with this.
She's that UFO researcher, right?
Yeah, Linda Moulton Howe. Okay, so Linda Moulton Howe and me, we both received emails from some guy involved in the Air Force who was down in Antarctica, and he sent like pictures where he claimed that they were like pyramids, and they really did look like pyramids. But the funny thing is, I got the pictures probably like maybe a year or two later after she did, like, because she was talking about it. I thought it was bizarre. She never shared the pictures publicly, I don't think. But then I got the pictures out of nowhere, just to my email, and I was just like, whoa, what the fuck is this? And yeah, they showed what appeared to be like pyramids in Antarctica. And now we're kind of learning more history about Antarctica. Now, for years, I've said that Antarctica on the map, on the Piri Reis map and the Oronogus Finnegas map, it showed it that it was a rainforest, right? Now it's coming out, scientists, just recently, either last year or this year, they said that Antarctica was a rainforest. They've now confirmed it. They also said that they believe that there is ancient history buried there because it is a rainforest. So it is possible, highly, highly possible, that as Antarctica starts to melt, that we start to see frozen artifacts and pyramids and all sorts of ancient history over there. Because it's the only part of this Earth that has never been fully explored, besides some jungles in Africa. But
they say the bottom of the ocean is less explored than the rest of the world.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, bottom of the ocean too. But also Antarctica, it's never been fully explored.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's just like miles and miles of ice, and but at some point in history, I think it was 14,000 years ago or so, there was no ice on there, and there is like, okay, we can go into these ancient maps and stuff, how it looks below the ice, and there exist these maps, like the Piri Reis map, right? And we can go into that. But, yeah.
The Piri Reis and Oronogus Finnegas maps actually showed that there was trees there, not ice, at the time when they made those maps. And scientists just recently, either this year or last year, they said that they've confirmed now that Antarctica used to be a ancient rainforest, full of vegetation and trees, and they are kind of puzzled what happened and why it froze over as it did.
Yeah, for listeners who don't know about what it was talking about, I mean, Piri Reis was a Turkish explorer in the 1300s, and he made maps. He made a map, which is now a famous map, the Piri Reis map, and he said he based it on 20 older maps, and some originating from ancient times, he said. And his map shows Antarctica, like how it looks like, but not how it looks like today, but how it looks like below the ice. And it's only been confirmed that the shorelines, etc., actually look like that by using like modern testing technologies, and they could actually see that it does look like that below the beneath the ice.
Well, yeah, they've.
Sorry guys, that literally cut off the stream for a second. Give me I have to recover. I literally got thrown out of Discord when we said that. I'm not sure why. I'm not going back in now. Test. So we're still live, don't worry. I got thrown out of Discord when we got to talk about that. So the last thing I said was about the shoreline looking exactly how it is beneath the ice.
Yeah, I was just going to say that they have a scanner technology that they've just recently kind of come out with where they are scanning. They're using, it's like a giant X-ray machine, and they're using it to look under the ice and look under pyramids and stuff like that, and they're actually finding hidden things that they didn't see before. For instance, they just recently found a hidden tomb in Egypt. I don't know if you knew that or not, but that was just recent. And they also found a large body that a large like mass under the ice of Antarctica. They don't know what it is. They've admitted that they don't know what it is. So I think it's very interesting. And within the next couple of years, I think we're gonna have some shocking discoveries over there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, at some point there was no ice there, and yeah, so it is very interesting to actually find out what would be there. You know, like we have all these kind, like you have these situations like with the Nazis, for example, in World War II. They were obsessed with getting access to whatever is possible below there. Yeah, and they had. Yeah, they were obsessed with that for some reason, and they probably had knowledge we don't really have in public too. Like you had like organizations.
They believed.
Go ahead.
I know that they believed that the Spear of Longinus was in Antarctica, or one of the ancient artifacts that Hitler was after. He was collecting a lot of occultic artifacts. A lot of people don't know this, but he was. I believe he collected the crystal skulls too. But yeah,
he was collecting the Spear of Destiny too, right? It was also said.
Well, I think he was looking for it. I don't know if he had it.
But I claimed that Napoleon had it, and then Hitler, and that it resides in the USA now somewhere. That's like the theory.
I thought that it was in Antarctica, and that's why he went there to look for it. But I don't 100% know. Like that's what I've read about it. Um, like legitimate history type stuff, but I don't know if it was the Spirit Longinus or if it was some other artifact. But anyway, he went to Antarctica to try to find some type of ancient artifact. That's all I know about it.
Yeah, well, I know that there are some weird things surrounding that Antarctica situation, and that is that so shortly before the war ended, a lot of U-boats went out and they never came back. I mean, they were there. There's no recording of them arriving somewhere, so there is a theory that they actually went there, right? This is and in 1942. The Waffen-SS sends a message to Adolf Hitler saying they successfully built a thing called Shangri-La, which is an untakeable fortress. And they message this is an official message from the Waffen-SS to Hitler. And they say they built his Shangri-La. The Nazis already went in the 1930s to Antarctica, and they claimed an area called Neuswabenland, New Swabia, and they did it by throwing their flags from their planes, I guess, and they claimed it as their own. Not sure why they picked that area though. And then there is that story about Operation High Jump, right? Shortly after the war, that the Americans actually attacked Antarctica, or a region there, and they sent ships in. It was, I think, 26 Navy ships and some 2,500 soldiers.
But the weird thing about that is that they also sent in scientists and geologists, and they sent in a whole bunch of different people there. That it was just really bizarre why they would be sent there. You know, like during a fight with the Nazis, a so-called fight with the Nazis, they sent in geologists, some type of other scientist. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think biologist was sent in as well. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, and it goes together with those FBI documents from after the war, saying they were still looking for Hitler. They were looking for him in Argentina. So yeah.
Yep.
They weren't convinced that Hitler was dead, and you know, the famous picture of the dead Hitler. It's being said that it was actually a butler, like a doppelganger of Hitler. It was used as a propaganda.
Well, JFK went to investigate that too. There's a document where it shows that JFK went to go investigate that.
Yeah, it is a famous picture, and it was used by the Russians as a propaganda to make the rest of the German army surrender. It was pretty much the purpose of it.
Right.
That's why the picture was so important for them. So it was actually good that they did that, I guess, because the Nazis surrendered because of that. They wanted to show the Nazis that their leader was dead. So, and they made this picture, but it is likely that it was a doppelganger and not himself. Could have been. But you read a lot of stuff on it, and you know that a lot of Nazis went to Argentina and South America. Most of Argentina, the Bariloche area. Yeah. You know a lot about that too, I guess, AK.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story. When they were looking just recently, they found some very strange artifacts in Argentina. They found what they believed was Hitler's tool for measuring Jewish noses. And they also found a magnifying glass and some other Nazi memorabilia inside a wall that was like kind of like a hidden like a hidden compartment inside a home. It's like a secret entrance to get in there, you know. So it's very interesting, and a lot of these artifacts are actually Hitler's, you know. So it's very interesting. There was a picture that was put out by the FBI saying that this is allegedly Hitler, and it does look like him as an old man. Like, does look like him. So who knows? Like,
yeah, and you also have to like think about like the psychology behind people like Hitler. Their obsession was with to make the Third Reich survive forever. So instead of thinking like they would just commit suicide, their goal would be like to stay alive and to restart the whole engine in another place again. And the goal was to stay alive forever, to keep the Third Reich going for 1,000 years. So that's the psychology behind it, and their obsession was so big with that it does make sense that he would at least attempt to escape. And there are records of U-boats arriving in Argentina with carrying Nazis. So yeah.
yes, that's true too. And also, when the war was ended, the first thing that the U.S. and other countries did was they protected the German scientists and smuggled them out under various different ways. A lot of involving fake IDs, passports, whatever, at the time, to bring them back over to wherever to work for them. And the U.S. did that with a lot of Nazi scientists under Operation Paperclip, and they kind of used those scientists for MK Ultra, NASA, various different programs at the time.
And not just the U.S. did it. I mean, the Russians did it too. I mean, their space program is also based on that research and they were also working with Nazi scientists. But they also did like more simple things, which had like perhaps even a bigger effect on the world. Like you have the gun like AK-47. The Kalashnikov gun is based on a prototype design they found in Nazi Germany. The Russians discovered this prototype gun, and they manufactured an AK-47, like the Kalashnikov, which is a famous gun. It's probably the most used guns in wars around the world. The gun killed more people than anything in war. So that's the effect Nazis have today, because this gun is still being used in a lot of wars. And you're talking about the Vietnam War, and you're talking about all these different wars where Kalashnikovs are being used, and they're cheap to make, and they're very effective, and based on German designs. So
Yep.
And no, it's interesting.
Glad you brought that up.
We actually have someone from
I'm
Argentina.
glad you brought that up.
Hey, you're cutting off. Sorry.
Stop, because you started speaking again. I was just going to say a real quick comment. I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people seem to think that the AK-47 is actually made by the Russians, when in fact it is manufactured by the Russians, but the actual blueprints for the gun was found in Germany.
Yeah, no, exactly. Okay, I see Alamo already pushes it in here too. That is the STG-44, the Sturmgewehr 44, assault rifle 44, which is pretty much exactly the same thing as the AK-47. So I'm not just talking bullshit here. And in YouTube in the chat, it's actually interesting to see we have Anan from Argentina in the chat, and he says like, yeah, a lot of Nazis came to his country, to Argentina, and he's aware of that too. Yeah. Yeah, so you can see how much effect they still have today, right? Because $25.
Yeah, there's. I mean, that's a classic. You know, it's well, you know, it's like the Tommy gun in a way of the 20s. Of course, that doesn't have that assault rifle look, though.
Now, if you
You
look
gotta
at the
think
gun,
of
it looks
that.
like exactly like an AK-47, right? There's tiny differences, but
Yeah, it's very close. It was a lot more machine though. The AK was it's kind of known for using the stamp parts and getting away with it.
yeah. Yeah, what makes it special it's just okay. So one of my friends, he was in the Dutch army, and they tested with that, and he said like, yeah, okay, so these guns, they can be used like when they've been like on the water, and they've been like they're like filled with sand, and they're still usable. He said like, and our guns, they're not usable anymore. Like we can't do shit with it if there's like sand in it. They don't work anymore. But these guns keep on working forever. Like they have a huge advantage over you.
That was the improved trench warfare. Kill more folks when you jump over the line.
Yeah, and they're made for actual war. That's also the difference. Like Dutch army uses like Canadian Dimaco guns, which are like pretty much like the M16 or the M4, like a little improved, so to speak. But they don't work when there is sand in it. They don't work when they've been on the water and they become useless. And they have these older guns, which then originated like the original model, like prototype from like the World War II. They're like better than their equipment.
Yeah, there was so much. We got this. The machining and everything got so much better. During the war, so many innovations that came out of it for all the killing that went on.
Our friend from Argentina says also it's sad a lot of Nazis are in Cordoba, Trans la Sierra in Argentina, I assume.
Interesting. Haven't heard that.
There's a big community down there.
I've heard that. I didn't hear the actual location of it.
I want to say George Bush's compound is very close. I could be wrong, but the Bush family's got like 400,000 acres down there, man.
Oh. Was Prescott Bush like all involved with that kind of stuff?
Yeah, he funded the Nazi Party through, what was the bank? Come on, Alamo. No, you know.
Brown Bank, Brown.
No, it's a bank that doesn't exist anymore. It got probed at the end of the war. I can't remember the name of the bank.
Union Bank, Union Banking.
Yeah, it's like shut it down, and then the guys that were really running the whole thing, they just went off and did other things, and it didn't slow them down at all.
It has
didn't really change anything.
Yeah, the Union Banking Corporation, and it was an investment bank that operated as a clearinghouse for many assets and enterprises held by German steel magnate Fritz Thyssen. I know by the way about Fritz Thyssen because he was active in Rotterdam Harbor. He was very big there.
A lot of those people during that time period, they were actually secretly funding the Nazis. Walt Disney had a cartoon as well during that time period. It was like you can actually look it up online if you can find it. Nazi cartoon of Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. I remember the Donald Duck Nazi cartoon too.
Walt Disney has been accused of being a fascist for all his life. Now, You had Leni Riefenstahl, and she was that was like the head of German propaganda content, videos and artwork for the German for the Nazis. Leni went to the USA to meet with American movie makers to work on projects together for German propaganda. All of the Americans refused except Walt Disney. Actually met with Leni Riefenstahl. I'm not sure what they discussed, but he did meet with Leni Riefenstahl, and so that's what gave that what caused a lot of the accusations behind that. And yeah, like you say, they made like these little videos, the little cartoons and stuff. At some point during the World War II, by the way, when America entered the war, he started making pro-America, anti-German stuff, but that's probably because he was utilized. Like, yeah, you have to do it, right?
I have no idea, but I do know that he did make those pro-Nazi cartoons.
Yeah.
And they were very like pro-authoritarian, like follow orders, salute, type of deal.
Well, that's odd because there was other ones, the Daffy Ducks and some others that were, pro making fun of them, like maybe just playing both sides, but.
Right. Yeah. Later on, as Mark said, he started making cartoons that were pro-American, anti-Nazi. But early on, he made a lot of cartoons that were pro-Nazi. Like there was one with Daffy, or not Daffy Duck. Oh my God, I can't remember.
Yeah,
Donald Duck.
Yeah.
Donald Duck, and there was one with Mickey Mouse. I don't know if there's any more. There probably is, but I don't remember, and I'm not sure. But then after that, when I think it was the middle of the war, was it the middle of the war?
Yeah, then he switches sides because the Americans probably asked him then to make like the American propaganda videos.
Yeah. But during that time, they were probing all of the Americans that were actually funding the Nazis. And there was big companies like, but what's it? Campbell's was one of them. I can't remember any of the other ones off the top of my head.
Well, you have U.S. Standard Oil, owned by Rockefeller, which is a huge billionaire in the U.S., the Rockefeller, and the Rockefeller family had a Standard Oil. It was like the only like a monopoly oil company in the U.S. and they had the patents on the kerosene used by the German Luftwaffe. They provided the fuel for the German Luftwaffe, who used their fuel to invade countries. And even when there was like a ban on exporting to Germany, they still managed to export fuel to the Nazis through South America, and the Rockefeller did this, and this is all in the history records, and so yeah, they were definitely involved with the Germans. I'm not going to say even that they were directly involved with the German government, but they had business assets, and they worked together with German industrialist corporations.
Right.
Yeah. And there's plenty of them, yeah. And if you talk about like Fritz Thyssen, who's a huge industrialist, okay, that guy was able to buy anywhere, of course, and the companies still exist that were built. Like you talk about Bayer also being that still exists, and Bayer Monsanto still exists, and
yeah,
it's everywhere.
Well, they've recently merged, so they're getting they're getting to the point where not doing very good business-wise if you have to merge.
Oh, so and Pam mentions Club 33 about the Disney thing. That is a real thing in the Disney parks, Club 33. I'm not sure if you guys know about that.
Pam or Pamela?
Yeah, Pam Rowbottom. As he mentioned.
Oh, okay.
As he mentions Club 33. Okay, and those are like buildings in the Walt Disney parks, and there's some kind of like private restaurants, and you need to be a member to get in. That's what I know about it, and it's
Yep.
interesting. It's called
Yep.
Club 33.
Yeah, and the Club 33 was alleged to be one of the clubs where they show videos of child pornography, according to Paul Benassi during the whole Franklin cover-up thing. Don't know if that's true, but he did say it.
Yeah, we should really be surprised by it. I mean, we know about all the Epstein things, and Epstein situation, and you know what some of these elites are into. So
Yeah, I don't know. They see it as entertainment. That's what John DeCamp said years ago.
yeah, it's just a sort of thing that normal people would never be able to do, and they can get away with it, and it gives them perhaps a feeling of power. Some have like a real sexual obsession with it, and other things for others it's just like a power thing, I guess. So, yeah.
Well, in general, if it's a power thing, it's sexual nature.
Yeah, and then you have the whole blackmail thing too involved with it, right?
Right. And a lot of it is blackmail. It's not people who actually get off on it. It's people who are being blackmailed by it. But for the small few, they do actually get off on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very easy. I mean, it was done to Berlusconi too in Italy. You have people organizing these parties, and they invite all these politicians and these powerful people, and then suddenly this guy organizing also invites like these underage girls, right? Or the girls who are like close to underage, and
Right.
yeah, and they become like they videotape stuff, and then after the party is done, when all these guys got super drunk and did crazy stuff with these young girls, they have videotapes of it, and they start blackmailing these people. So that's how they
Yep.
how the mafia or like
how-
criminals get control in politics.
Yep. But in years ago, before even Epstein was a thing, right? There was another guy named Craig Spence who did the same thing, except with little boys, and he would blackmail officials with little boys and record them with boys and blackmail them saying they're gay, and also the fact that they're underage, right?
Yeah.
So, and Craig Spence said in an interview that he claimed to friends that he worked for the CIA. Just saying.
Yeah, and then you have Epstein with the Mossad connections and stuff. That's that.
CIA connections too.
Yeah, and in here, like in Europe, like Western Europe, like you mentioned, this coincidence. You mentioned like the whole Dutroux situation that happened on here. Dutroux was a pimp, low-level guy. He was arrested for what he did. Had 2 young girls in his cellar, right? And he was arrested for it, locked up. But Dutroux was part of a network, and everyone knew he was part of a network, and he was working for these very powerful people. Yeah, and one of these powerful people was Michel Nihoul, and he was also arrested, and he served a few years in a low-security prison. But Nihoul always said like, you can't hold me in a prison because I have. If you keep me in a prison, I will release this video of this Belgian prince raping a 13-year-old girl, because I have it. He said, right. So but he is a big cocaine mafia guy. He was huge in cocaine, and they said like, okay, he was from Belgium, and he said like his power reached all the way to the Donau river. And he controlled most in Europe. He controls most of the cocaine, but he was. It was very well known that he organized these sex parties and invited the politicians in, and they would, and it was people like Dutroux who would get the girls, for him to use at these parties against these politicians, and royalty.
Well, yeah, but that whole situation is fuck. Like, there's murder involved in it. There's all sorts of things involved in Dutro affair. But yeah, there's very interesting connections there between the whole Dutro case and the suspect in the Madeleine McCann case. Very interesting. The guy's a German. He's involved in a lot of the same similar stuff. He told his ex-girlfriend prior to a day prior to the whole kidnapping of Madeleine McCann that he was about to do a job that would benefit him for life or something like that, but that she wouldn't like him after it. Like bizarre things like that. But I think strongly that the McCann case is connected to the whole Dutro guy and anybody else that's higher up in that. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, and with Berlusconi, was the Italian the Italian former prime minister, right? And with Berlusconi, they also had they were calling it bonga bonga parties, right? It was
Yep.
there was a scandal surrounding him that he was like involved with the young girls. I'm not sure if they were actually underage, but they were like around 17, 19, very young girls. And there was a huge scandal, and it eventually caused kind of like his collapse. But he was one of the most powerful business guys and politicians in Italy, and a lot of people actually liked him. A lot of people knew he was corrupt too at the same time. But it happens everywhere. And Epstein was like a big thing in the USA, and you saw he died pretty fast after he was arrested. It's everywhere. And there is royalty is involved. In the UK, royalty is involved with that too. It's everywhere. I'm not sure if you remember the Dr. Phil episode, okay?
Yeah, I did remember the Dr. Phil episode.
Yeah.
The Dr. Phil episode where the girl was said that she was kept in a cage, this and that. And then it got Dr. Phil banned in the Netherlands, I believe it was, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, because in Dr. Phil there was this lady, and she was a witness. She said like she was kept in a cage, and she was trained as a sex slave by these elites from a young age. She went on Dr. Phil, and the entire Dr. Phil show got banned forever in the Netherlands. And why? Because she mentioned names like Mark Rutte, which is our prime minister, being involved in chasing young kids on horses and doing like that. They are like hunting kids and stuff. That's what they do. And but she also mentioned Demming, Joris Demming, which is the former Secretary General of our Justice Department. This is the highest person in our justice system. Now, he has been accused of being a pedophile for a very long time, and he went to Turkey and paid to have like young Turkish boys taken to his hotel where he had like sex with them, and these boys now are all adults and we're all witnesses against him. There are 4 people, actually there were 5, but there are 4 now who spoke out about this, and there was a lawsuit and everything. Big mainstream media newspaper, after so many years, finally had the guts to write about it. They got sued. It ended up in a whole like super dirty situation. But the fact is that there are serious accusations against these higher up people, and this has been a scandal in our country for a long time, and it connects also with these other networks we talked about. It has to do with trafficking. We have things happening in Prague, in like a gay bar. It's well known that he was also dating a young guy who was 17 or something at the time he was dating him, but that guy the boyfriend of this Deming was also in gay porn movies where he had like sex with like young boys and stuff. He was like, as a kid, he was already in like gay porn movies. So this is super dirty stuff, and it is very risky to publish about this. But yeah, so that got Dr. Phil banned in our country, and that was kind of a shock, to be honest. I've never seen that happening in our media, anything being banned, to be honest.
Yeah. I remember that. Like, I reported on that with We Are Change at the time, and yeah, it was immediately after that episode was aired, it was like Dr. Phil canceled, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of pressure has been put on Deming too. I mean, he was confronted. All the journalists are on him for years and years. It has been going on, I think, since 1995. Like, it's such a long time. Can't even believe it. So much pressure, and they're aware of it. I mean, the government's aware of it. They're not like at this point. The government is not stopping any of these journalists from writing either anymore, because there is so much pressure on the situation that they're no one is able to actually get these people into prison. There was an investigation done by the Dutch police. It was called the Rolodex investigation. They were actually wiretapping into Deming and these people, and then at some point, yeah, they were they heard only white noise. The taps were taken off. And when they arrived at the houses of the people they were tapping, because when they were cut off, they were so worried. They immediately went to arrest these people. Right, they went to these houses. Then they came over these houses. They were met with a coffee and said like, "Yeah, we expected you were coming. Like, here, have some coffee." Right. One magazine was writing about it. There was Panorama was writing about it. The person writing about it was invited to their home, and it was said to him that look, sir, you can write what you want, but you have to realize we make the laws. There's nothing you can do. We make the laws here, and you can either listen or you don't, right? But they were clear. They said like we make the laws.
There was also a assassination of a reporter and a witness within the Netherlands years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That was that had to do with that Panorama and the Gay Krant, which is a gay newspaper. That one of the people was murdered in Thailand.
I don't know what it had to do with. I just remember it happening, and it was a real bizarre story. It was like reporter and woman gets sniped by unknown gunmen, and they never found the gunman on that. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, and let's see. In the true case, 30 plus witnesses died in mysterious ways. Just saying. Over 30 witnesses were going to talk. And go ahead.
There's one woman who survived who tells one of the most horrific stories about the Dutroux case, where she was forced to eat feces out of a dog bowl and all this other shit, and kill another younger girl.
Yeah, that's the kind of sick shit that people are into.
Yeah.
It has to do with degrading people and ritual abuse and all these things.
Right. And going back to what I said earlier about Q, by doing what they're doing, it seemed like all this other shit that happened and is documented, and and heavily documented, never happened, and it's crazy to think that it happened. Because of the way that they are spinning facts with disinformation combined.
Yeah. I know, but like if you get into this, there is so much, and so much dirt you discover. If you can't get out of it anymore, to be honest. And I spent years on it, and it gets so disturbing. And these networks are so large; they're like untouchable. And this is like the only thing that like I've seriously considered that we will not be able to take it out. And I mean, we dealt with so many things. Like we dealt with cults, and we dealt with governments. They're hardly as scary as these networks. I can tell you that. This is like some sick shit that goes on here.
It's connected to the darknet and people paying for these shows, and not only just darknet stuff, but also running these like blackmail operations of politicians and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like, yeah, some people ask like, yeah, how is it possible like the mafia gets influence over politics, and like why are politics corrupted by like mafia or like rich elites and stuff? Well, this is how they do it. They do it by blackmailing. And if you want to know how the mafia and billionaires work in that sense, yeah, this is how they do it. They compromise them by blackmailing them, and they offer them things like underage girls. They videotape.
Well, not all. Not all. I know that there's some mafia people that would probably hang these people, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I won't get into that.
No, yeah, definitely.
It's a known thing, actually, that a lot of the mafia, they actually hate child molesters, and they will kill them while in jail. Not saying it's all mafia-related people or gang-related people, but mafia, like traditional mafia people, they hate child molesters, and they will kill them while in jail. You want to say something, Tyler?
It's picking up on his microphone sounds in the background.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can turn up the sensitivity. Or turn it down.
It's a push to talk.
Yeah, let me turn it. Let me. Oh God, where is it? I have like a million windows open at the same time.
Let's see. Have we forgotten any topics?
Not that I know of. I think we kind of got everything.
Or something about John McAfee, maybe.
Oh yeah. John is still in prison. He still doesn't know what's going on. Yeah, he's still waiting for a court date. Julian Assange is his extradition hearing will be in about 2 months. And Jeremy Hammond was supposed to get released, but they're not letting him out because he has COVID or some shit like that. That's all I know. I don't think another week or so is gonna matter when you've been in there, or 8 years. Sorry,
Yeah, but the thing is, are they going to let him out, or are they just going to say, use the COVID excuse to keep him there longer?
No. Jeremy's done his time. They can't hold him there indefinitely. Especially, some of the guests that we've had on here were in a lot more trouble, or at least their family members who who have been on here. I just don't see. I don't see them holding him there any longer. Be special circumstances.
They were trying to get Jeremy and Chelsea Manning both to testify against Assange.
Yeah. And that was a clear abuse of power, and I'm very confident that Jeremy will fight back the legal system, because that's technically double jeopardy for both of them. So you can't legally try and incarcerate a person twice for the same crime,
right,
or bring up a new fact. It's actually against the law, and whatever judge or group that had picked up that case and was asking him to testify against Julian Assange while he's still incarcerated, and some of the stuff that it's somewhat directly related to some of the stuff he was arrested for. Now, was he convicted of all of that when that happened? I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that in Chelsea Manning's case, that's double jeopardy, and I'm pretty sure Jeremy could fight that as well. Probably get a nice chunk of change too.
Yeah, if they tried to take him for charging him with the same crime twice. Yeah, I agree. All right, so then we also have mental health issues online being more prevalent.
Yeah. I've been talking to a few people I know that I'm close with online, and I followed this guy, or he followed me. I guess it's called End of Days Radio, and I've been seeing he has like quite a bit of a what do you call it? A fan base, right? And these people are so fucking crazy. Like you need to be fucking on pills kind of crazy, This guy has a podcast. I don't even know how many listeners he has. He's set up the back end on some professionally, and it seems like, when he's talking, it's like listening to somebody who has mental health. This guy like legit believes that the whole demon satanic cabal, all of that shit, he believes it's real. He believes that the coronavirus is Satan. Satan is here on Earth, and I'm just like, thousands of people are just buying into this shit, and I'm just like, what the fuck are these people in? I mean, have they ever cracked open a fucking book? I mean, I might not be able to tell you the fucking Christian Bible back to forth, but I do know the main concepts and the apocryphal books, and I read other fucking religions. It's just like, there's a big distinction between religious books and science. There's a big difference for me, but for this guy, it's like literally whatever is said, that's what it is. And I'm just like, at some point, are you questioning your mental status, your mental health? Because, if you want to go down that road, is the devil, or anything that isn't in line with these 10 commandments you believe in, or if you're Jewish and the 600 whatever commandments, it starts getting in this weird fucking zone, and I'm seeing this more, and I've talked to Mark, I've talked to you several times, about mental health and social. It just seems like it's getting worse and worse every fucking year. Am I wrong?
Well, I was just going to say it's ironic that you say that, because recently there was a study done that says that COVID is actually causing people to have mental health issues.
I think it's a sign of the times, my friend. What I am getting at is, it's more like I think Trees, he knew about this disorder, and it's really, really, really kind of weird logic. But there is a disorder you can get from affiliating abstract ideas into places and thinking that they're meaning stuff. Like when you do a schizophrenic assessment, right? And you do, what the psychiatrist asks you a whole bunch of questions. One of the questions that you ask the patient is, when you watch TV, do you think the TV has special messages for you? Do you think that the TV is talking to you? There's and a lot of these weird QAnon and these religious cults, they're kind of looking at these weird, pockets of truth and affiliate in a weird way. And there was this, Trees told me there's this Russian scientist who kind of developed a form of, what's it called? I don't like a Manchurian candidate, but it's more like schizophrenia, by the similar techniques that you see with QAnon and some of the religious stuff. This guy used it to try and make somebody become, on some level, schizophrenic. And I think now that social media is more prevalent and you can see more of this shit right there on social media, you don't even have to look very hard. I really think that it's developing or it's mushrooming into something of that nature, where it's just getting, every fucking year it gets worse and worse. Don't tell me, haven't you talked to, and like you're like in a chat room, you're in a chat for like 5 fucking seconds and they've already gone into schizophrenia land?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I think what it has to do with is really like kind of playing around with your brain's way of thinking about things, like you said, kind of manipulating somebody's logical perspective. For instance, like with Q, it puts them into like a alternative reality. Like.
Well, that was what I was saying. If you've ever talked or you've ever worked with schizophrenics, and I have quite a bit at one job I used to have, they don't talk. They're not entirely. A lot of the stuff that they say is out there in Looney Tunesville. I'm not going to lie, but when they're trying to talk about, if you ask them what they did during the day, they would talk in these weird metaphors, and that's part of they're part of their brain that's all messed up. It's wired differently, so they can only talk to you in these weird metaphors. But if you understand what the metaphors mean, and that might actually mean sense, but to a person who's not schizophrenic, doesn't know what to look for, it's just pure nonsense. But more and more, like, all of a sudden, a symbol is the Illuminati, and the Illuminati hasn't been around. If you've looked at anything, like a lot of these guys believe Illuminati still. If you look at the history of the Illuminati kind of fell apart in the early part of the 1800s. It is no longer there. It is defunct. It really fell apart.
Yeah, and I've always argued that too.
Even the OTO has no affiliation with them.
Right, but the reason why people think that is because of the quote from George Washington where he says, the principles of Illuminati and Jacobism have infiltrated the U.S., but he's saying the principles. He's not saying the actual group. And
Adam Weishaupt did come up to them in 1999. Adam Weishaupt came over when they knew that America had basically fought the Revolutionary War on loans that they could not pay. Adam asked if they needed to borrow money from these weird rich Europeans, and I believe the answer was, "Fuck you, no."
Yeah.
No, but yeah.
Yeah, well, Adam Weishaupt was the Bavarian Illuminati, and it is long gone, of course. Yeah. But these structures, like similar structures, that's organization structures. That's kind of what they use, I guess, with different ranks.
Well, yeah, because Adam Weishaupt, I believe he was originally into the Masonic orders, but he was more into the black magic and satanic aspects of it. You know, kind of.
Wasn't he a Jesuit also?
Well, once you start getting into these weird high level magic with a CK, occultism, a lot of them believe in these Gnostic principles. And the further you delve into the Gnostic principles, there's a big distinction between Yadhe Vadhe and a weird hidden god that nobody knows. So it essentially starts twisting it into, I'm going to use whatever I'm going to use to get what I need, and if it's got to look like it's like I'm doing something good when I'm really doing something bad, that's essentially what it is. And you start seeing it in the high level occult world, especially into the not necessarily the OTO, but more into the Gnostic stuff, higher Judeo magic studies. You do see it a lot.
Yeah, but if you're talking about like the Masonic orders talking about like the universal architect, right? That's kind of what they use at some lower levels. They say like, yeah, we talk about the universal architect, and there is some Christian doctrine involved with it. But you're talking about a whole different story than Aleister Crowley's pagan rituals. Like, the Aleister Crowley has an obsession with the BDSM sex magic stuff, which is like old paganism, invoking these magical powers through sex and stuff. That's OTO, I mean Ordo Templis Orientis.
Yeah.
And Aleister Crowley was known as a magician. I mean, they called him a magician, and they said like the true power is through the female power and like all these. Yeah.
Well, they believed that the feminism had magical power. Yeah.
Well, yeah. There's. I'm not going to lie. There's a big difference between the Masonic order and the OTO, primarily due to the orgies, the sex magic. But you know, I mean, at some point, you know, even the primal Masons had adopted Kabbalism, and it's very tongue-in-cheek when you start hearing about early Christian orders and the Masonic, when you start hearing them, you know, worshiping Baphomet. So, you know.
Baphomet is old Arab. There's like a wisdom god, right? A god of wisdom. It was worshipped by Templars, I think.
Yeah, but the weird part is that Baphomet didn't. Only I guess. Well, it's kind of weird because like the Kabbalah was essentially not entirely like written down until a lot of the rabbis started writing it down. I think it was like 800 AD, and it was they weren't even writing it in Hebrew. They were writing all the manifests in Aramaic because they thought it was so taboo at the time. But yeah, I think that's like where you start hearing the stories about Baphomet. But from what I understood historically, is that it was already an old relic. It was just never written down about. So
yeah, I've read that the Knights Templars were worshipping this, and that's also why they were like hunted down by like the church. I'm not sure. I mean, like I don't know too much about it. I mean, you know far more about these religious things than I do.
Well, yeah. Essentially, what happened is that the Knights Templar were like knights and nobles in the Christian world, and they actually believed that they were fighting to establish a Christian presence in the Holy Land, which they were utterly defeated by the Persians at the time. And somewhere along the way, a lot of them kind of got mixed up with Kabbalism. And when they came back to Europe, they were essentially doing a lot of Kabbalah-like practices when they had come back, and the church kind of wasn't okay with that. And I'm not sure exactly how or why a lot of them ended up in France, but that's essentially where the end of the Knights Templars happened. The King of France knew that the Templars had established the first banking system and were hoarding around a lot of money. And when they came around to, when I think the King of France needed to fund a war against England, he basically just got a lot of them and had basically, that's what they killed them all on Friday the 13th, essentially where the old rumor came. But the ones who escaped, they think they went to America, but they're not entirely sure. So.
Okay.
There's a story about them being last seen at some port in Scotland, about 50 ships before they sailed off, never to be seen again.
Yeah, something along those lines. And you ever see that weird show that's around? It's called Oak Island or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're finding some of that treasure now.
Yes, they are actually. Weird how some of the stories are starting to turn up to be true, because they found old Masonic. Remember that cross that only the Masons had used? And they found an old relic there that only the Masons could have known. Well, apparently, what's buried there? They think the Masons had put an old treasure down there. So
yeah, they're finding some relics. I know a guy that watches all those programs. I don't have time, but he's really telling me they're picking up some of the old treasures now, and I was like, wow. I don't know how much money they spent there, but it's some guy.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Makes for a great story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, there's plenty of stuff surrounding that, of course. I have like old libraries in Constantinople, like books all being burned, and there's like all these stories of like, yeah, people taking some of these books to safety, right? And what kind of knowledge exists in these secret societies, and that's the kind of thing they promise their members too, that they have all this this knowledge, and if you become member with them, you hear stuff you never hear anywhere else, because they have the secret knowledge kept secret for us. Yeah, as a promise, but what it comes down to is you're actually telling your own secrets to them, and you're being blackmailed. But
Yeah.
Yeah. That's also how an organization gets access to a lot of information and a lot of secrets, and you have big databases, yeah, because the members give away a lot, and some members are powerful and do have like long family histories, and they give it all up for the organization. Like the loyalty to the organization is above anything else. That's why it survives forever. You feed it with more and more knowledge.
Yeah, I'm surprised that those oaths get people swear by those better than they do their own country. It's
yeah. Yeah, well, these organizations are far older than countries. Like in some cases, I mean that's at least what they say, that they're like thousands of years old and they originate from like the original. Like if you talk about the Masons, they originate from the old the pyramid builders and the capstones, right? That's like the cornerstones of the pyramids and stuff, and they were like masters, masons, and they already had the ancient art of mathematics, and they understood how everything worked, and yeah.
Now, how did it go from that, being a Mason, to Mason the occult figure? See, I mean, that's a big step. It's just, I know there's a genesis to it, and how they could run across borders. Well, that's the Freemason. He was a Mason who was free to cross borders.
A lot of the Masonic rituals are based in the occult, not really that far a distinction.
Well,
as far as what I know, they're like not on the same level as you would see OTO member doing. Completely different field.
well, the thing is, do they really believe it, or is it a survival mechanism for the cult? Because when it originates in Egypt or in older cultures, even like Mesopotamia, Sumerian knowledge, they adopt the local deities, the local gods from those cultures, and then when it goes on to Christianity, and you have like the monotheism taking over, that's the cults start adopting those religions, and any cult needs a religion. I mean, you need to have something to worship to unite your members, and whatever that is. I mean, it becomes in the end an adaptation of all these different religions and a combination of things, whatever is useful to you, right? I mean, that's what they will do. There's like a whole mix of different different religions, cultural things.
You know who was friends with Crowley? Oh God, this is who wrote Dianetics?
Aaron Hubbard, yeah, I know, yeah.
Yeah. They were friends. Do you know that?
Yeah, and I think Crowley actually, that guy was involved with Crowley who founded OTO. Was like this other guy, and they actually like talked like really nice about like Aaron Hubbard, like wrote some kind of letter of recommendation, right? Saying like that he gets it or whatever.
Yeah, the father of modern rocketry was like best friends with Aleister Crowley. The guy I think that guy ended up himself by accident.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Cult by night.
It's interesting though, what you say, like that they're like best friends and they're like both into that stuff. And like Scientology used to be like super popular among celebrities, and now it is like OTO being super popular among celebrities, or more popular than it was. Like they drop Scientology, get into OTO. Some have these OTO tattoos.
Yeah, I don't know what else we didn't cover.
I'm looking through the list. Well, okay. Anniversary of Aaron Swartz's birthday. That's important to talk about. And also the Million Math March being last week. That's important to talk about. And OpSafe winner. Those are three things that we need to talk about. Oh, one more thing. BTC on the rise. That's what I see.
That's your subject.
Yeah.
More things, yeah.
It's been going up. Went up $6,000 in a month.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm kicking my ass.
I'm not. I'm enjoying my gains there, buddies. All right. All right. So first, starting off, anniversary Aaron Swartz's birthday. It was on the 9th, 8th. I'm like tired right now. I can't think. I have to look it up.
Yeah, I believe he would have been 34 today, or last week.
8th. 8th. It is the 8th. Okay. So, Aaron would have been 34 if he was still alive last week. Every year, Anonymous and Annans celebrate Aaron Swartz's birthday and put out awareness for the law in the U.S. It's the oh my god, I can't remember off the top of my head now. I'm tired. Somebody take over. The U.S. What's the U.S. hacktivism law? I can't remember now.
CFAA charge.
Thank you, CFAA. Yes. Computer Fraud Abuse Act. Thank you.
Yeah, they wanted to give him 30 years for downloading JSTOR, which he did at MIT, which was he offered to buy JSTOR for 40 million. They wanted 100, and Aaron said fuck that and downloaded JSTOR and was gonna allow anybody to get it for, and they're gonna give him 30 years for downloading JSTOR onto a hard drive at MIT.
Yep. Sad story. And Aaron was also working on a lot of different things in the background. Like he was working on nationalizing court records. He was one of the coders of WikiLeaks secure drop software. Yeah, he did a lot in his life, man. He ran Reddit. You know, he created Reddit. And what really pisses me off is that the current Reddit owners, they do not acknowledge that he was a Reddit founder.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, it really pisses me off. It really does. It's absolutely insane that they don't have a memorabilia page. Memorabilia? No, that's not it. A memory page for Aaron.
Pretty much realized something was up when we were doing like the Stop Acta 2 stuff, and Reddit like kept removing the threads at first. Like it wasn't welcome on there, and like everyone knows like Aaron Swartz was like on the forefront for like internet freedom, and he was very involved with these movements, and then suddenly they started removing it. Till at some point we started pointing that out, and they kept the topics on it, the threads on it, but it's like insane. Something was wrong there, definitely.
Yep. So the other topic is the Million Mass March was last week, and I don't know if you want to speak on that, Mark.
Well, considering the circumstances, it was like super successful. I mean, it was huge in London. It was here in Amsterdam. It was a little bigger than the year before. Were some issues that happened, like the mayor tried to make it illegal and like handed out a form to us saying like we can only protest on Stock Square for like 4 hours. We weren't allowed to march through the city. So it made some Anons very angry, and they actually marched to her house, right? So that was the effect. So it was like a march to the mayor's house, and then all these police started showing up and tried to arrest all of us. Some of us were able to get out, and we continued on Dam Square, where we always are. So it was relatively successful. I mean, it was bigger than last year. And I know in Washington I saw some people too, maybe 20, 25 people, which is also bigger than last year. Last year was only one person at at the White House fence, so that grew too. And Catalonia was big as usual. A lot of Free Assange signs, and signs for Xel, who was arrested, or Catalan brother. In Australia were marches, a lot of Free Assange stuff. I think it relatively was pretty successful. I mean, considering what we were dealing with, like difficulty promoting it, some accounts refusing to help out because they were so scared of the whole COVID thing. Well, we're all wearing masks, right? We're staying safe. So, yeah.
Wait. That's an excuse. Come on.
I know. Yeah, I mean, it was successful, relatively. We have our Argentina friends from Argentina. They had a march too, and they're in the chat here right now. So all around the world there were marches, and yeah, it went pretty well. I mean, we made sure it wasn't collapsing this year. So next year, if everything goes on as planned, we should be back to normal power, right? Going into hundreds of cities again. But this year, in the cities we did organize it. Every city we organized was successful. So, yeah. Los Angeles, I think, also were a few people. Last year also was a problem. So, I saw pictures of like 10 people or something. But yeah.
There was an event that was scheduled in San Bernardino, I think it was, or one of the sands in California, and apparently like nobody showed up for it. That I do know. Oh, it was San Andreas. There was a event out there, and nobody showed up for it.
Yeah. Okay, well, the only goal was to actually to make it survive, and in the end, some marches were a lot larger than expected. I mean, yeah. So that.
Yeah. There were some places that had large marches, and then some places had small marches, and some places that they scheduled marches and people never showed up. Is what it is. All right, so next, OpSafe winner, Anonymous is once again launching OpSafe winner for helping the homeless during the winter. And there's several cities where Annans are doing this. You can kind of find out more information just by searching OpSafe winner and finding locations near you to help donate for the homeless and kind of take care of some of our homeless brothers and sisters during this crisis with COVID, and also the fact that it's going to be very, very extremely cold this year.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to add anything there, Mark, or but
just that the Million Mask March Discord server. We posted. We created like another Discord for Safe Winter too, and we promoted it in the Million Mask March Discord server too, and a lot of people from there are joining in. And if you're in the Millionaires Mart Discord server, you can probably find like a link there to the Save Winter. Otherwise, search for it on social media. But some people are like discussing together how to like plan things, and to be honest, any help is like super welcome, because it is very hard to organize like all over the world to Save Winter events. It would be nice to have like at least like some event like every Saturday or something, if that's possible, as maybe even more. But the homeless do need it. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure. Like, seems like something it's very hard to solve, but I also have to realize that those are like the direct effects of like what these people at the top are doing. You can see it. Like, some people think like all the homeless people are like drug addicts or something. No, there are many, but these are people fucked over by the system in a lot of cases too, and they do need your help. And they're not always like automatically like dumb people or people who didn't work hard enough or something. That's not true. There's a lot of reasons why you can become homeless, and people just need their help, and they're victims of our corrupt system. So yeah, that's all we can say about it.
Yeah. Just remember that, that person you see that's homeless could be you very easily.
Yeah, and then you also want help. You will also hope that people are not like forgetting about you, and that is just how it is. And Anons are all over the world, so as Anons you can organize all over the world, and find a big city close to you. And just hand out stuff these homeless need. It doesn't have to be money. If you think like, yeah, they will like do wrong stuff with it, you can hand out goods that actually are useful for them, like blankets.
Yeah, I would actually recommend more so not giving money and actually giving goods, because otherwise you might be supporting somebody's bad habit if you give them money. I mean, if they want to get their life back together, they can find homeless centers and stuff like that, and they can actually live there partially, and then get a job and get their life back together. But a lot of these people who are on the streets, they sometimes have a bad habit, such as drinking alcohol or doing drugs or something, and if you give them money, then you're enabling that. So
yeah.
Alrighty then.
Cover everything.
Oh no! We have China eliminated all pro-democracy voices in Hong Kong, and then finally we have Bitcoin is on the rise. Oh wait, no, we have something before that. We have ICE Cyber Division went offline for a glitch.
Yeah. I saw Doug Crowd post that article, and they were making a meme out of it, saying that the janitor tripped over the cord, or that or that some guy was trying to use the mini micro USB to charge. They said it glitched. Their system went down, and everybody bullshit.
Is it in customs enforcement?
ICE, they're
okay.
Yeah, the ones who come dressed like normal people and arrest you. Yeah, and immigrate. To be honest with you, because they treat everybody like.
It's the news.
Well, it allowed them. Remember, it was Clinton who got them together. Leave. Yeah. To be honest, like more times than not, every I like a good story. It's always where like they're thugs. They'll arrest people in court.
They are thugs.
They'll be arresting people while they're in court. You know, like I've seen the videos. You know, where some guys in court, and then they arrest him while he's in court. Which makes no sense to me. That's like being in jail and being arrested. You know what I mean? Like,
you might have to in California because they would just let them go.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to process them out.
Yeah, California doesn't deport really. You know, this is a sanctuary state.
Yeah.
So
A lot of places.
well, the true honest fact is that, you know, a good person is illegal. It's, you know, and I've always had this belief that if they wanna work, then be a citizen and allow them to do so. You know, I don't know. You know, this wasn't, remember the majority of the United States didn't belong to the United States. It was actually, a lot of it was part of Mexico. Before that, the Indians, you know. I don't know, a little further out. I just don't think that the way the current administration was handling immigration was by any means safe or humane.
Yeah, humane is obviously that's blatant that it wasn't. You know, I mean, a lot of the things that Trump has enabled under ICE is questionable.
But yeah, you know, I hear that they're jamming 3 times the capacity of the amount of people into those facilities than we even allowed. So,
Oh, that sounds about right.
yeah.
All right. So our last topic of the night, and we can end it, I guess, is Bitcoin skyrocketing in price like crazy.
Almost double its value in a month.
Now, what do you think about that, Tyler? Do you think that it's going to continue going up, or do you think that it's going to dip? Or do you think we're getting ready to go into the parabolic bull run mode?
You got to remember that a lot of the whales, so I think a lot of it has to do revolve around honest and looks, and anybody will tell you you don't always see, and eventually it's pop. You know, well, maybe not soon. I mean, could it be tomorrow? Could be. You never know. You know, it takes is a few whales to selling to a bunch of commotion, and then it becomes. But it's been consistent for 30 days, which is.
It's been moving in a trend. Yeah. But we just broke 16,000, right? So 16K.
It's been about 2 years before it's been.
So so basically there's no resistance above for us until 20K. So
yeah, and
we could start seeing FOMO hit now. And push us up to 18K, and then from
I think if it hit 20K, it'll pop.
I don't think so. That doesn't follow through with the whole thing about the stock to flow model and all of that. in regards to technical analysis of Bitcoin. A lot of people are saying it's going to go to 200K, 290K, 250K. That's a what is that? That's a 10x from 20K, right? Wrong?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't ever see it getting that. Then again, it's wild west when it really is.
That's about 10x. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't. A lot of the pump and dumps still go on. There's a lot more trades, and you don't see more of that go on. Definitely, you can manipulate.
There's a lot of institutional investors that are getting involved in Bitcoin now. We saw Square jump into crypto. PayPal just announced that it's going to be.
Oh, you can already do it now. 3 weeks ago. Yeah, they've been. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to buy things with it yet.
Well, yeah, you can't buy anything with it, or you can't send it to anywhere, but you can buy and sell.
That's
Uh,
the whole
yeah,
purpose.
yeah. Well, yeah, obviously, but they did add it. They did add Bitcoin into their wallets, and they said that they're going to allow merchants to accept Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies.
Well, they should, because the IRS has declared it as property, so it would essentially barter. It wouldn't devalue the status quo of the currency, and if the IRS recognizes it as an asset, then you should be able to spend it at the.
Yeah, but they're useless and they are not accurate at all. It's obviously not a piece of property, as it's a digital currency. You can't fucking hold it.
No, by the legal, what the IRS defines as property.
Yeah, well, we
properties
don't.
can be assets. It can be gold. It can be stock.
Yeah, but it still doesn't fit the definition. But whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Who left?
Oh.
Who's in the chat? I don't know. I have no idea. Somebody joined the channel and they just left. I don't know.
I think probably Lucifer.
Yeah, guy in Florida. He usually has a bad connection.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hans.
Hans, yeah, he just drops in to listen, I guess.
Gotcha. All right. But yeah, that's all I really got to say. I mean, I think it's going to keep going up. You know, as I've said before with Bitcoin, is after the halvening is when things get very interesting and the price starts pumping higher. It's happened every single halvening without fail. So we'll see what happens this time, but I think it will go above and beyond 20K, and we'll make a new all-time high probably December or January, and then it'll continue going up and up and up and up, and then it'll pop.
Yeah, it might also have to do a little bit with the election problems, that a lot of like investors use it to go to safety. You usually see it like with economic troubles, they get into gold and silver, and now they might go into Bitcoin too, so it could go up like huge.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if we should give like investment advice, but at least still there's a new president in January. Go ahead.
It's not investment advice. No, I was just fucking around. I said it's not investment advice. Buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, at least until there is like a new president, it makes sense to jump into those things. You also have gold or silver. Yeah, stock investors jump out of the market if there is uncertainty. I mean, they want that. These are like the long-term big investors. They just want like a return, and they don't want like the quick returns. You have like the quick return stock investors. They just jump into a stock, cash out, and get out again. But you have the long-term investors. They want to secure their investments, and they use markets like gold, silver, and in this case also Bitcoin now, I think. So yeah, so you can see, maybe you can see it go up at least until there's a new president in the U.S. Stock market is insecure, and like if you have like if tomorrow they release the news like okay, there's going to be like a recount and maybe there was election fraud or whatever, then yeah, you see the whole stock market like jumping up and down again. So yeah. These really big investors know exactly what's going to happen. Like when Biden or whatever goes into power, you know, like there's going to be a lot of international policy happening. Would be a reconnection with the World Health Organization, all these things. So you know what to invest in, right?
Well, yeah, it's a matter of everything that Trump kind of disconnected for the U.S. is going to be reconnected by Biden. So also NATO, there's been a lot of tension between the U.S. and NATO. So
yeah, because yeah, Trump or like the U.S. says yeah, the other countries are not like paying enough into NATO, and like the U.S. is running it pretty much alone, is what they say. Like other countries don't pay their fair share. Yeah. Maybe other countries don't care too much about warfare. I don't know.
Right.
Like I said, they're letting the U.S. protect its U.S. dollar. That's their own investment too. So that's why they never stopped the U.S. Like,
I think that's all. I think that's all we got. I am like dead fucking tired. So Alamo, you wanna fizz us up?
Yeah, make sure you spay and neuter all politicians.
And lobbyists and anybody else that's political.
We might have to expand this. There's too many bad people. That's too simple.
You're right. No, you're right. Yeah, we definitely have to castrate all Qs.
We're still on air, by the way.
Don't care.
Hey, for listeners, if you like this episode, please share it around using a quote tweet if you're on Twitter, or share it around on other social media. We're shadow banned everywhere, so we need your help on it. And thank you again for listening.